A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Five bells. Stand by all stations.
Attention, all districts. A 5-alarm fire. 5 bells. Move in immediately.
That's it. Let's roll.
Let's go. Firefighters.
Presenting Firefighters, the true-to-life story of our unsung heroes who stand ready to ride by day or night against our most murderous enemy, the demon of fire. In a moment, we'll join Chief Cody and rookie fireman Tim Collins in the warehouse near the waterfront, where they face perhaps the weirdest adventure yet encountered. A short time ago, the rescue company had answered an alarm to find the job they faced this time was rounding up a group of monkeys swarming over the site of a building. But it turned out to be something besides a joking matter, for these rhesus monkeys have been sent here for scientific study, and the success of the medical experiments they're intended for depends on their being captured and turned over to the doctors of the city. We'll move into the middle of this weird adventure right after the following message. Let's go, firefighters! Let's join Chief Cody and rookie fireman Tim Collins in the huge warehouse, where by using streams of water from the department's hose, the monkeys have been driven down from the side of the building, through the door, and into the cages, which are now closed. That is, half of them are. The rest are hiding somewhere in this crowded cavern of a room. No man is anxious to go poking around for the missing monkeys, but they remember what happened to Tim's pal Mushnosky, who got a bad case of fleas from one of the monkeys and had to be rushed off for emergency dusting. But as Chief Cody is saying now...
Well, the hunt is on again, Tim. Listen to those critters carrying on in the cages.
Yes, sir.
We got half of them, but our job is still far from finished.
Yes, sir. Well, the door's closed, the exit's blocked. Plenty of firemen around to keep a lookout, Chief. Only how we find them?
We'll just have to smoke them out, son. We can't sit around till they come out. That may be days from now.
Yes, sir. Well, I guess I'd better get myself a pair of those heavy gloves, sir, and start searching dark corners up there in the rafters.
No, that'd be like looking for a needle in a haystack.
Well, what else can we do, sir?
No, I don't know. But I think I know someone who might. Spider Jones, the famous monkey man.
Yeah. The monkey man?
Well, I don't mean that quite the way it sounds. He's human enough, although he is a character. He just might be able to give us the answer.
Well, I hope so, sir. If this story gets in the papers, how we let a bunch of monkeys make a monkey out of the fire department, we'll be the laughing stock of the town.
Yes, I see what you mean. And more important, these doctors are depending on these monkeys to finish their medical experiments.
Yeah, that's right, sir.
And our only hope of corralling them now is Spider Jones. Well, I'll set a guard here, Tim, and then we'll roll.
Minutes later, the chief's bright red car is racing toward the city zoo, where the chief explains to Tim the famous monkey man can be found on any sunny day. And sure enough, Spider Jones sits in front of the monkey house, a heavy-set man with beetling brows and long arms, looking not unlike the animals he's an authority on. When the chief explains his problem, Spider turns to the cage and says...
These are the rhesus monkeys in this here cage, Chief Cody. Hear what they're saying?
No, and I don't want to, Spider. I've heard enough from those we got in the warehouse. Let's get away from here.
I know how you feel, Chief. How about that bench over there?
Yeah, all right. They heard every word you two said, and they don't like it too much.
Naturally, an expert like you can understand every word, Spider. Well, what did they say?
Well, they said... you sure you didn't get it, son?
Oh, not me, Spider. Any reason why I should?
Well, yes, now you mention it. Seems like you and the chief ought to speak their language. From what I hear, you've had plenty of experience with monkeys today.
Well, have your fun, Spider. Only for Pete's sake, tell us what to do.
Imagine the fire department coming to old Spider for advice.
Well, we run into a lot of things, but this is a bit out of our line.
Shouldn't be. That training school of yours, Chief. Why don't you put in a course on monkey control? I'd be willing to teach your rookies. For a slight fee, of course.
Spider, this is serious. These monkeys were shipped to this country for a very important scientific experiment. The mystery of one of our most dreaded diseases may be solved and countless lives saved if we recapture these animals.
Yeah, that sounds right important. And if old Spider can help in any way...
Why, you can, sir. Tell us how to catch them.
Well, hadn't ought to be too difficult. Tried bananas?
Oh, yes, and it didn't work. Right now, they're in a warehouse. We could probably get nets over them if we could smoke them out into the open.
Yeah, big warehouse. Lots of places for them to hide.
Yeah, that's right, sir. Is there any way to bring them out into the open where we can nab them?
Yeah, might be. I'd have to see the place to tell.
Well, then, what are we waiting for? Let's get going.
Yeah, firemen always in a rush. Now, I got to go back to the monkey house first and get their advice.
Now, look, Spider, I know you better than that. You can pretend all you want to, but I think you've already made up your mind what we'll have to do.
Maybe so. But I still need a couple of minutes to myself. You'll see why later. I'll meet you back here in 5 minutes.
A few minutes later, Chief Cody's car is approaching the warehouse again at breakneck speed. Spider Jones is sitting in the back seat quietly, calmly, as though racing through the streets was an everyday affair for him. The moment the car brakes to a stop, Chief Cody and Tim are out of it, hurrying toward the huge closed door of the warehouse. The Spider ambles on behind and lets them push it open.
Come on, Spider. Get in here quick. If one of those monkeys should dash past us, I'd be awful mad.
Yeah, they won't. Very few things could pry them loose from their hiding places right now.
You can see your problem, sir. It's not very light in here, and there are a million hiding places. Behind those bales and boxes and crates and... well, did I say something funny?
No. Just look at your men standing around this place, Chief. Collars pulled up, helmets pulled down. You should hear what my friends in those cages are saying about human beings.
I don't give a hang what they're saying. Can you blame my men for not feeling comfortable with a pack of monkeys loose in the dark here?
I don't mean to rile you, Chief. Only didn't it ever come into your mind those monkeys are a lot more afraid of you than you are of them?
Oh, well, I suppose you're right, sir, but that doesn't help us solve the problem of how to catch them.
You just leave that to me. I've handled monkeys from Rangoon to Rapid City, South Dakota. Well, I remember one time...
Now, come on, Spider, come on. None of your stories. We can't stay here forever playing nursemaid to a pack of monkeys. Now, we're pretty sure they're all in here.
Yes, sir. The streams of water we played on them outside drove them right through the door.
Oh, they're here, all right.
You're sure? I mean, how can you tell?
Oh, I can smell them. You can't fool an old carnival and circus man like me.
Nobody's trying to fool you, Spider. The point is, can you fool those doggone critters into coming out in the open, where we can net them?
Nope. Nobody can fool a rhesus monkey. They're a lot smarter than a lot of people I know.
Well, then there's nothing we can do.
Why, sure there is, Tim. I hate to do it, but there's no other sure way.
Well, what do you want us to do?
First, get those monkeys in the cages out of here, and your smoke eaters, too.
I don't think they'd like the way you put them together in the same breath, sir.
Who? The firemen or the monkeys?
All right, Spider. You know what you're planning?
Sure. And I got my doubts as to who would be the most scared, the men or the monkeys. Now, the three of us will stay here with these nets you spoke about.
Oh, but how will you get them out into the open where we can net them?
That's easy. Now, the second thing you do is to call the zoo. Tell the head keeper I've looked the place over, and it's the only way.
What's the only way?
To play on their sense of fear, of course, Chief.
Oh, now look, Spider, before I blow my top, how do you play on a monkey's sense of fear?
A python, of course.
A who?
Python. Didn't you ever hear of a python, young feller?
You mean the big snake?
That's it. While you were phoning, I fixed it up so we could borrow one from the zoo. They'll send him over.
I hope you know what you're doing, Spider.
Nothing else in the world will pry those monkeys out of their hiding places. They hate and fear snakes like poison. They're scared now, and this is the only thing that'll make them scareder. They'll come out in the open chattering like human beings. Of course, if you're scared...
Oh, don't be silly. If that's the only way, it's the only way.
Well, sure. Well, I guess it's a good idea.
You don't look like you meant it. Neither of you. Risk your life every day of the week, and right now you're nervous as kittens over a few old monkeys and one big old snake. I'll be a monkey's uncle if you ain't. Yes, sir, a monkey's uncle.
Well, personally, I wouldn't blame the Chief and Tim if they were a bit nervous, would you? But if this is the only way to bring the animals out of hiding where they can be recaptured, they'll do it. There's no doubt about that. Well, to see what happens, be sure to be with us for your next exciting episode of the Firefighters. In just a moment, Chief Bob Cody will return with a very important word for all of you boys and girls. But before that, a word from your announcer. Here's Chief Bob Cody with a special message for the Firefighters Brigade. Chief Cody.
Attention, firefighters. Here's a bit of advice I certainly hope you'll never have cause to use. If you should ever be present when a person's clothes catch on fire, remember two things they must not do. They must not run because it will fan the flames. And they must not remain standing because they may inhale the toxic fumes. The only way the victim can be helped is to lie down where the flames can be smothered with coats, blankets, rugs, or anything else of that nature. Remember, this might someday save a life, so don't ever forget it. Well, that's all for now. This is Chief Cody saying so long until next time.
Fire Chief Cody and the young rookie fireman Tim Collins will be back on the same station the next time you hear...
That's it. Let's roll! Let's go! Firefighters!
Get this and get it straight. Crime is a sucker's road, and those who travel it wind up in the gutter, the prison, or the grave. This time, inside of 2 hours, a lavish mansion seethed with suspicion, a sealed cabin filled with gas, and an artist's retreat had a corpse on the floor. All because one man was too good-looking to be true to anyone.
From the pen of Raymond Chandler, outstanding author of mystery, comes his most famous character and crime's most deadly enemy, as we present The Adventures of Philip Marlowe. Now, with Gerald Moore, starred as Philip Marlowe, we bring you tonight's exciting story, The Lady Killer.
The longer I sat in my office with my feet up on the desk and thought about it, the more convinced I became. Paul Niles was unquestionably the handsomest man I'd ever seen. He had a face that belonged on a Greek god, only his features were better, more finely chiseled. They looked as though they'd been molded out of alabaster from a blueprint by some inspired genius. And the classic side view he presented made the great profile show up like a bowl full of shredded wheat. In fact, the guy was much too good to be true in more ways than one, which had been my original impression of Niles when I'd first met him, just 2 hours ago at the corner of Sunset and Cahuenga, and at his insistence had driven him around the quieter streets of Hollywood in my car while he tried to hire me. He was scared stiff. That was all he would admit to, and as he talked, I wondered what it would be like to have a face like that. Must become quite a problem. Women cluttering up your life.
Marlowe, you're not listening to me. Unless you help me, I'm going to be killed. Soon, tomorrow, tonight, maybe in the next 10 minutes. I must have protection.
From what? Who's after you?
A girl. Her name is Nora Kirby. She's threatened my life, and now she's here in town. She actually intends to go through with it. I found out where she's staying. I went there to talk to her, but she was out.
Why is killing you so important to her?
Well, I don't even know for sure. It's something ridiculous.
Nora Kirby obviously doesn't think so. Let's have it, Niles. Why?
I can't tell you that.
I see. Also, I suppose you don't want to take this to the police where it belongs, and you can't give me the reason for that either.
Yes. I came to you because I need private help, and I'm willing to pay well for it. Now, you don't have to concern yourself with the reasons. Simply see that Nora doesn't get to me. Now, here, as a starter, here's $200 for just that.
Keep it. I only accept money from the people I work for.
You mean you won't help me?
I just want to know where I'm going before I start.
Now, wait.
You can get off here.
Don't you understand? My life's in danger. I'm scared.
Not enough to loosen your tongue any. Here, this is as far as I go. But tell me one thing first, just for laughs. What business are you in?
Why, I'm a composer. I write music.
Mm-hmm. The way you said it, it's either a front or a hobby. How do you get your dough?
I have friends, wealthy ones, who have faith in me.
And that's more than I can say for Marlowe. So long, Mr. Niles. Go on. Out.
All right. But here, at least take my card, and please call if you change your mind. I'm desperate, Marlowe. I'll pay you even more if you'll only...
Goodbye, Mr. Niles. That was the way I'd left her 2 hours ago at 8. And I'd spent the time in between trying to referee a tug-of-war in progress with the feeling I had that I'd been stuffy on one end and my undernourished bank account on the other, and was slowly but surely getting no place. So when the break came, I grabbed at it. Hello, Marlowe speaking.
Marlowe, this is Paul Niles again.
Oh?
I've thought it over. I'll tell you everything if that's the only way, because I've got to have help before it's too late.
That's better. Where are you?
In my studio, 3893 Avenida del Sol.
3893. That's off Coldwater Canyon, isn't it?
Yes. Now get over here right away, will you? Wait a minute, Marlowe. There's someone here. Somebody just came in now.
What? Niles?
Who's there? Who is it? Nora, is that you? Oh!
Niles! Niles! When Niles' phone went dead, I hung up, ran to my car, and was headed for Coldwater Canyon before I stopped to think of what I'd heard on the telephone could very easily have been bait for a patsy routine. Because I had nothing more to go on now than before except Niles' promise to tell all. That had got no further than gunshots. But I was already well on one easy way to find out, so I corkscrewed my way over the mountains to Avenida del Sol and followed it to number 3893, which was a straight-up driveway etched narrowly into the hill face that ended on a gravel shelf just big enough for the redwood and glass studio, the generous helping of imported jungle for landscaping in a circular parking space. As my headlights slashed across the tangle of overhanging trees in the center, they trapped the figure of a woman running. She stopped, crouched, and looked back into the glare like a cat does, then darted for the darkness again. But I caught her at the corner of the house. Just a minute, baby, not so fast on the curb.
Let me go. Let me go.
Not until we've been properly introduced and had a chance to talk a lot of things over, Nora.
Nora.
Yeah, Nora Kirby, girl with murder on her mind.
No, you got the wrong person. My name's not Nora, it's Lynn. I don't know anyone like that.
Lynn what?
Lynn Horton. Lynn Horton.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Lynn Horton. What's inside that got you so panicky you can hardly stand up? Is it Paul Niles?
Yes. I got to get away from here.
And it actually happened, huh? He was shot. Is he dead?
I don't know. I think so. How did you know about it? Who are you?
Name's Marlowe. Come on, Lynn Horton. Let's take another look.
No, I couldn't bear it.
Can't see him through the window. It means you must have been inside.
Inside? No, I wasn't.
Now, look, baby, you're too jittery to try to lie. Let's have the key. Come on, give. That's better. After you. Go on, inside. Now, where is it? Yeah.
Oh, Paul.
Come on, Lynn. Come over here away from me.
I can't believe it. I can't.
What's your connection with him?
I was just a friend. I tried to help him with his music.
Mm-hmm. The price on the merchandise you're wearing, you must be one of those mentioned.
What do you mean?
If you got dough and it shows, we'll skip that. Assuming you didn't kill him, you must have had some reason for showing up here tonight. What was it?
Well, I only wanted to... Did you hear that? Someone's outside.
Yeah, get the light.
There. On the terrace. Something moved down there.
I'm going out to see who it is. And listen, there's no such thing as welcome visitor just now, baby, so you stay here, understand? And don't budge. I felt my way out the door, down the stone steps toward where we'd seen the movement, and along the wall to the far end of the terrace. But there was no sound. Nothing moved. Whoever had made the noise had gotten away clean. So I headed back to the house, and that's when I heard it. I started after it with my shin against the first rock garden. Stop me cold! Ooh. Instead, I listened to her drive away. Called myself a few unpleasant names and concluded that Lynn Horton, or whatever her real name was, had been quite as scared as she acted. After I limped inside, turned on the light, and reached for the phone, I stopped at the word Nora above a pretty girl's picture on a newspaper clipping sticking out of Paul Niles' pocket. It carried a New York dateline and said that Nora Kirby, convicted of manslaughter in a traffic accident, had been released after serving 3 years. At the bottom of the story, scrawled in ink, was the message: 3 years for something I didn't do, to get something I couldn't have. It's not fair, Paul. I'll be seeing you. It was signed Nora. I picked up the phone again, and a few minutes later, Detective Lieutenant Matthews at Homicide was up to date.
Okay, I'll be right out. I Did you say this girl, Nora Kirby, did it, Marlowe?
I said Paul Niles was expecting her to, and it looks like she did. Say, look, there's another angle, though. The woman who just beat it away from here.
The one who called herself Lynn Barton?
Yeah. There's somebody else who was snooping around outside, too.
Who also got away from you. You're doing real well, Marlowe.
Oh, now, wait a minute. Wait till you see this joint, you'll understand. Besides, I'm in this for curiosity only. Now my paycheck got murdered, remember? And furthermore, I never have matches when I want them.
What'd you say?
I said I'm looking for some matches. No. Here's some. These are the strangest matches I've ever seen.
Well, what about them?
They got a velvet cover on them.
So what? A velvet book of matches?
Hey, Matthews, did you ever hear the name Negrotto?
Negrotto?
Yeah.
Sure. Abel Negrotto.
Huh?
He's a big name in the music publishing business. Made most of his fortune on records. Lives in Beverly Hills.
You know, I got a dandy hunch. I'm going to go have a talk with Mr. Negrotto, Lieutenant, okay?
On one condition. Be careful what you say, Marlowe. And keep in touch.
Good evening. You aren't Mr. Negrotto, are you?
No, I'm not. I'm Garrett Horton. Mr. Negrotto is busy.
Horton?
Yes. Something wrong with that?
No, it's a more common name than I suspected, that's all. Will you tell Mr. Negrotto I'd like to see him for a few minutes on an urgent matter? Name's Marlowe.
Perhaps you didn't understand me. Mr. Negrotto and I are in the middle of a business conference. We can't be disturbed.
No, you can't be disturbed. Well, look, Mr. Horton, a man was murdered tonight, and one trail leads from the corpse straight to this front door. Either Negrotto talks to me here now or later at police headquarters. You decide.
Well, if that's where you feel, come in. You an officer?
Not exactly. I'm a private detective.
I see. Well, follow me.
He led the way through what looked like the outer lobby of the Taj Mahal, and down a silk-padded corridor to a set of carved doors that would have fit any roundhouse in the country. When we walked in, a man glanced up from a stack of papers, and with a pair of eyes that belonged on a shark, did his best to look a hole through me. Horton introduced us.
This is Mr. Marlowe, private detective.
Mr. Negrotto, I'm looking for a girl named Nora Kirby in connection with the murder of one Paul Niles tonight. She either committed the murder or knows who did because she was there and saw it.
And what exactly brings you to my house?
Well, I found this book of matches near the door of the dead man's studio. I think it's yours.
It is. Go on.
Any idea how it got there?
None whatever. And until you mentioned their names, I'd never heard of either Nora Kirby or Paul Niles.
How about you, Mr. Horton?
No, I'm afraid not.
Oh, there's my wife.
Oh?
I'm sure you'll want to give her the third degree, too. Now, just a moment. Lynn, darling. Come in here, please. Lynn, this is Mr. Marlowe.
How do you do, Mr. Marlowe? I'm glad to know you, I'm sure.
Thanks. I'm pleased to meet you, Mrs. Negrotto.
Your brother and I have been trying to convince Marlowe here that we didn't commit murder tonight, but he thinks we did because he found this book of our matches near the corpse. Can you explain it, my dear?
Why, no. I can't imagine.
The man's name was Niles, Lynn. Paul Niles. Mean anything?
No, nothing.
How about Nora Kirby?
I don't think I've ever heard the name before.
Well, Marlowe, that would seem to take care of the book of matches.
Not completely. It was found at the house of the dead man, remember?
We've had hundreds of these made up. Passed them out freely. I think you've taken up quite enough of our time with this absurd business, Marlowe. So now I'll ask you to leave.
I'll show you out.
Don't bother. Now listen, Negrotto, and listen closely. I've been taking it easy so far, but somebody in this room is absolutely certain how those matches got out there. I know that for a fact. And I'm a private detective, don't forget. So if you suddenly remember something that needs talking over, I'll be in my office for 1 hour, but not one single minute longer. Good night, all.
In just a moment, the second act of Philip Marlowe. But first, every Sunday afternoon, CBS brings you two outstanding programs of music. Gems from the great composers, played by the Symphonette, and the sweet, memorable songs of the outstanding modern composers and semi-classicists, sung by the Choraleers. Each program is designed especially for fine Sunday afternoon listening. Hear both the Symphonette and Choraleers this Sunday afternoon on most of these same CBS stations. Now, with our star, Gerald Moore, we return to the second act of Philip Marlowe and tonight's story, The Lady Killer.
When I started back from my office on Cahuenga, I figured that there was an even chance that the double talk I'd left in my wake might stack up in the center of the Negrado living room floor like so much dynamite, which, if touched off by the book of matches, could cause an explosion that would jar loose a few facts about the lives and loves of the late Paul Niles. Facts that would make finding Nora Kirby and clearly understanding her motives something less than impossible. And 20 minutes later, when I was slouched behind my desk and listening to the staccato report of a pair of high heels clicking sharply toward my door, I had a hunch that my theory of violent detonation was not just wishful thinking. When the door opened without the formality of a knock, that hunch turned a sure thing, because the visitor was the not-quite lady called Lynn.
Mr. Marlowe.
And before she could speak her piece, the phone rang, and sure thing graduated to cinch. It was another Negrado, the one named Abel.
Marlowe, I suppose it's stupid of me to make this call, but frankly, your visit here has left me curious. You have a minute?
Yeah, I think so. Hold a wire, will you? I need a light. Be with you in a second, Mrs. Negrado.
All right, but what I have to say is important, Marlowe, so make it fast, will you?
Just as fast as I can. I don't think your husband has much to say to me.
Husband?
Mm-hmm.
That's Abel you're talking to?
Yeah. Now, do you mind handing me those matches, eh? Thanks. Hello. Sorry to have kept you waiting, Mr. Negrado. I never seem to be able to hang on to matches.
That's odd. You apparently did all right on that score tonight, Marlowe.
Is that the reason for the call?
More or less. Marlowe, you know as well as I do that servants, anyone who's ever been in my home could have left those matches near the body of that Paul Niles.
That's right, Mr. Negrado. Anybody. Which also includes you, your wife, your brother-in-law, and others in the family I've still to meet. What's your point, please? I'm in a hurry.
Very well. Marlowe, I called to find out if you're holding anything back from me. If this murder concerns the Negrados beyond the appearance of those matches.
I can't say.
Because there is something.
Because I don't know. Anything else?
No, there isn't. Yes, Marlowe, there is.
Oh?
To be honest, I admire the way you handle the situation. What's your address? I may have work for you soon. Tonight.
Thanks, Mr. Negrado, but I don't think I'll be available. At least not till I get through with the job I'm on.
Which is what?
Handling dynamite while I play with books of matches. Good night, sir.
What did he want, Marlowe?
Among other things, an express desire to hire me.
To do what?
Report on you, I suppose. He didn't say.
What makes you think that's what he wanted?
Addition, Mrs. Negrado. A rich old husband, a beautiful but bored young wife, and an unemployed Adonis always add up the same way. Also, you were here in my office just about Clinch's things, not to mention your presence near the corpse, the key you used.
And I've heard enough, Marlowe. Look, I didn't want to get mixed up with Paul. I couldn't help myself. I swear I couldn't. He was different, Marlowe. Handsome. More charm than I'd ever known in anyone.
Yeah, real lady killer, I know. What are you getting at?
Just this. I'll pay you any price you name. Only don't tell Abel that I had anything to do with Niles. He's a jealous man, Marlowe. Insanely jealous. If he knew about us, he'd...
Kill Mrs. Negrado?
I don't know. Marlowe, what do you want?
Right now, everything you know about Nora Kirby.
But I've never heard of her before tonight.
You're lying.
No, I'm not. It's the truth. No. Now, what do you want?
Nothing. Good night.
You mean you won't say anything? Oh, Marlowe, I don't know how to thank you.
Don't try. Also, don't get mixed up about me, baby. The fact that I won't blackmail you doesn't mean I don't like you. And the door, Mrs. Negrado, leave it open on your way out, will you? I'm expecting another visitor.
No, my husband.
No, just another man. The anchor man on a triumvirate I once left some dynamite with. I won't bother explaining that. Goodbye, Mrs. Negrado. You great, big, beautiful dog. Oh. Come on in, Mr. Horton. I've been waiting for you.
Why, Mr. Marlowe? Something I said or didn't say at the house?
Not exactly. It's more a matter of intuition, high explosives, and the fact that both your brother-in-law and sister have already paid their respects. Now, what can I do for you?
I'm not at all sure.
It's the first time.
I'm only here because I noticed something very strange about the way my sister looked at you when you spoke of the murder of this Paul Niles. When she left the house shortly after you did, I followed her here.
All of which makes the next question, why, Mr. Horton?
Because I don't trust her, And more important, every penny I own is tied up in a business venture of mine that her husband is backing. She originally met Abel through me, and if she should in some way be in trouble, the kind of trouble that her husband wouldn't put up with, I might suffer for it in the long run right along with her.
Uh-huh. And by the trouble, Mr. Horton, you're referring to something specific, I think.
I am. Lynn has had a very mixed-up background, Marlowe, so it's entirely feasible that in some way she's connected with this Nora you spoke of who killed Paul Niles.
You mean as an accomplice or even as accessory before or after the fact? Pretty thoughts about your own sister.
Which I can't help.
I doubt that you have anything to worry about, Mr. Horton. However, I will say this, that if Nora Kirby hadn't gotten to Paul Niles, sooner or later you would have had plenty to worry about.
You mean that...
I mean that now's a great time for you to go home and sit on your investment. All is well, Mr. Horton, for the time being. A moment after Horton left the office, I came to the hollow conclusion that although my little bombshell had exploded on schedule, damages had been light and had jarred loose neither fact nor fancy about the late Paul Niles and much less about the elusive Miss Nora Kirby. So my next move had to be a second trip to Avenida del Sol and a report to Detective Lieutenant Matthews, which is what I was about to do when it came from someplace outside, long and loud. I ran the length of the corridor outside my door, then belted down the single flight of stairs to the street where in the half-light of a distant lamppost I saw the shadowed figure of a girl slip behind my car, then dart toward a storefront nearby. I started after her and stopped at a noise behind me, which was a old mistake.
Junior, hey, come on, honey. Pull yourself together.
Oh.
Let's go, fellas. Come on.
Oh, it's you. You're the one who screamed?
Screamed? Honey, you have got it, Dad. Listen, this is just Sally.
Hello, Sally.
Relax, honey. You're lucky a cop didn't come along first. Being drunk is one thing. The DTs is something else, I know. Last year I was in the same shape, and it took me 3 months.
Now, wait a minute. Hold it, will you? Look, I was slugged, not slipped a Mickey.
Slugged? Honest?
Slugged, honest. Now, if you don't mind giving me a hand, I'll get up.
Easy, honey. Oh, here, let me help you. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
I figured you all wrong. I never thought you was slugged. Any idea who done it?
No. Look, tell me, didn't you see anything? Before you found me, I mean? Didn't hear a girl scream, see her run away?
Nothing at all.
Oh.
Honey, you must have been out longer than you thought. Maybe... Hey, look, this card here on the ground.
Yeah?
What's your name, honey?
Philip Marlowe, why?
Why, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you more than that. You know who slugged you, honey? A polite guy. A very polite guy who left his card. You engraved and all. Paul Niles, know him?
I used to. It won't work, Sweets. Niles gave me that card earlier tonight. Must have dropped it just now. Also, Niles is dead, not you.
And what?
Back of that card there in pencil. Give me that, will you? Gray's Motel, 1000 Santa Monica Boulevard, Bungalow 9. Sweetheart, I may have something good here.
About who slugged you mean?
Better than that, about who killed Niles and where she can be found. Goodbye, love. Here's 5 for your trouble, and bless you. As I piled into my car, I knew that putting Niles' conversation piece about having just come from Nora's place when he first met me, together with the address on the back of his card, was taking a lot for granted. But I sold myself that playing a long shot was better than not betting on anything at all, and I kept driving fast. When I came to a stop away from the place, which was run down, spread out, and quiet, I had a feeling that what I had earmarked long shot was quickly moving up to even money. And when I was standing next to the motel bungalow marked 9, that feeling became fact because inside and piled in an awkward heap on the floor was a still form of the girl, the newspaper clipping had labeled Nora Kirby. It was another full second before I realized something even more important. On a hot night in August, there wasn't a single window open. And Nora Kirby was huddled close to a gas heater that was on but showed no flame. I picked up a stone at my feet, took one deep breath, then crashed the pane of glass, unlocked the window, and got inside and over to the girl, who I figured was taking the hasty way out of a murder that she no doubt had a very personal reason to commit. I stopped figuring when I was nearly next to her. I knew that she was still alive. And that a man gripping a .45 in his hand had just opened the front door.
Don't make another move, Marlowe, or I'll kill you.
Well, comes the switch. Brother-in-law Garrett Horton. I never would have guessed.
You wouldn't have had to try if you'd kept your nose clean. Now, get away from her.
Why? So she can die as a suicide, which the police will chalk up as logical, since she's already wanted for murder that you no doubt committed?
Exactly. Murder I committed because there isn't anything worse one can do to a blackmailer.
So that's it, Niles. Lady killer was blackmailing your sister. You found out and killed him before he could cause too much trouble. Family trouble that would end up hurting the good thing you've got with husband Abel, huh?
Yes. No, shut up and get away from her. We're going outside.
You're kidding.
Marlowe, I'll shoot you if you don't start walking.
You're still kidding. Horton, you can't kill me without killing yourself. This room is jammed tight with the gas you turned on after you brought her in here unconscious. After you sapped her outside of my place because she was on her way to see me and tell me that you had murdered Niles. The flash from that gun in your hand, Horton will blow us all to bits. Face it, brother. For you, it's all or nothing at all. Go on, shoot. Go on, try it. Try it.
I can't. I can't.
Dr. Gorson, please report to Ward
You
21.
can see Miss Kirby now, Mr. Marlowe. She's going to be all right, but hold her down to a few minutes, will you?
All right, Doctor, just a few minutes. Hello, Nora. Been a long time getting together, huh?
Yeah, but not through any fault of mine, Mr. Marlowe. I followed you from the moment you left Paul's place. But I wanted to see you alone, so I kept waiting for my chance.
Which was canceled out when Horton spotted you after he left my office. You ought to learn to run faster, honey. He had to take time to knock me out, and still he caught up with you.
So did you, I'm very glad to say. Even though you probably weren't trying to save me at the time, were you?
Frankly, honey, until Horton stepped back into that bungalow to keep me from interfering with things, I figured you were it.
That might have been Marlowe. If Paul hadn't been killed just before I got to him, at least I'd have hit him with something hard. I had motive, you know.
Yeah, I read all about it. 3 years in prison for something you didn't do. But tell me, if Niles framed you and you knew it, why didn't you go to the police? He couldn't have been that irresistible.
But he was, Marlowe. And more. As a matter of fact, he didn't frame me in the first place. It was my own idea. You see, Paul was driving the car when we had that accident 3 years ago. Not me.
You switched places with him? Why?
He'd already had his license revoked for reckless driving. They'd have sent him away for 10 years at least. As against my 3. Believe it or not, at the time I couldn't think of waiting that long for him.
No?
No, Marlowe?
Hello, Matthews.
We checked the story. It's true enough, even if it's the kind of thing we're not supposed to be able to understand.
Of course. Paul was strictly a lady killer, remember?
Yeah, so he was. Well, I guess that ties everything in, huh?
Not quite, Phil. I've just finished taking a statement from Horton. There's one more question. Whatever made you so sure that in a room half filled with gas, a gun exploding would blow everything up?
Oh, well, that's simple.
You what?
Well, I figured, you see. I thought that, Yes, well, good night, Miss Kirby.
Good night, Mr. Marlowe.
So long, Lieutenant.
So long. Lucky.
By the time I got back to the quiet of my apartment on Franklin, it was a little better than 2 in the a.m. As I sank into an easy chair without bothering to turn on the lights, I realized that for the moment I was tired. Tired of people. Their troubles, their petty little jealousies. Lady killer. What makes one man a lady killer and another... Oh, well. I lit a last cigarette, and I thought about the mountain of trouble a classic Grecian profile had built for Paul Niles. I stopped thinking when the flare of the match in my hand showed in a mirror opposite me. The mirror that also reflected the face of the guy holding the match. He was a long way from being an Adonis. In fact, he was slightly on the mud fence side. And at the moment, glad of it.
The Adventures of Philip Marlowe, bringing you Raymond Chandler's most famous character and crime's most deadly enemy, star Gerald Moore, and are produced and directed by Norman MacDonald. Script is by Mel Donnelly, Robert Mitchell, and Gene Levitt. Featured in the cast were Gene Bates, Paul Dubov, Ted Von Eltz, Ann Morrison, Don Randolph, and Edmund McDonald. The special music is by Richard Orant. Be sure and be with us again next week when Philip Marlowe says...
It started with a man on trial for his life, and an A1 citizen eager to testify. But there it was interrupted. And it wasn't until I found a corpse in a bubbling bath, gunplay in the woods, and lots of blackmail that the real eager witness had a chance to talk.
It will be New Orleans, city of romance and drama, which sends its detectives into action on Gangbusters tonight. The superintendent of the New Orleans Police Department himself will narrate Gangbusters' amazing story, The Case of the Sledgehammer Sigh. You'll also find Basil Rathbone engaged in another of his exciting exotic mysteries. So be sure to hear them on most of these same CBS stations. Gangbusters and Basil Rathbone's newest mystery adventure. In fact, stay tuned right now for the Gangbusters program. Yes, it follows immediately on most of these same stations. This is Roy Rowan speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Gangbusters, the only national program that brings you authentic police case histories, has asked Captain O. Thornton Link, former Chief of Detectives, Police Department, Danville, Virginia, to narrate by proxy tonight's case. Captain Link.
Thank you, and good evening, Gangbusters listeners. It was about 10 minutes to 9 on a pleasant winter morning of February 1954 when John Wilson approached the front door of the Danville, Virginia bank in which he worked. He inserted his key in the door. As he opened the door, he heard footsteps behind him.
I'm going in with you, Mr. Wilson.
Oh? Oh, one of the messengers from the main bank?
Never mind the questions. Move on in.
Hey, be careful with that gun.
I'll be careful. Inside and shut up.
Look, what do you want from me? I'm just an employee.
Sure you are. You know the combination of the vault, too. You're going to open it for me.
But I don't know the combination.
Look, Mr. Wilson, I happen to know that you're the only person besides the manager who does know the combination. Now, you want me to use this gun?
All right.
Well, let's get to the vault. Go on, you lead the way.
You know you won't get away with this.
I ain't worried. Okay. Now open it. No funny business.
Here you are.
Okay, mister. I'll open the door myself.
Oh, you want to play rough, do you? Stupid hoodoo. I warned you.
Next time, maybe you'll listen.
Within a few minutes, Gangbusters listeners, the lone bandit looted the bank vault of almost $35,000. About 5 minutes later, another employee arrived at the bank, found the injured man on the floor, and immediately called police headquarters. I answered the alarm, taking Sergeant Lewis Hance with me. John Wilson had not yet been moved, and I remember bending over to talk to him. How do you feel now, Mr. Wilson?
Not so good. My head, I'm so dizzy.
An ambulance is on its way. Should be here any minute.
I tried to stop him.
Can you remember what he looked like, Mr. Wilson?
Not too well. Oh, my head.
Maybe we'd better save this questioning for later.
No, I'll tell you what I can. He knew all about me and the bank. I never saw him before. He kept a muffler around his chin, but I'd recognize him again.
How tall was he?
About like me. Short.
Mm-hmm. Now, that's an ambulance, Mr. Watson. Good. I'll be down at the hospital to talk to you later.
Captain.
Yes, Lou, what did you find out?
There's someone outside that might be able to help us. A girl.
Okay, let's go see. Oh, wait a second. Here's the ambulance crew. It's right over there, Doctor, near the vault. About the girl. Where'd you say she is?
We're waiting outside.
Good. Come on.
Here she is. You can talk to her yourself.
All right, everybody, step back.
Miss, this is Captain Link.
Oh, hello. Say, this is a big robbery, isn't it?
Pretty big.
When I went to the movies last week, there was a robbery in it. The police never were able to find out who did it.
Look, Miss, suppose you tell the captain what you told me.
Oh, yeah. Well, my mother sent me to the store. We were going to have breakfast, and we didn't have any bread. I lived just a few doors away from the bank. Anyway, when I left the house, I noticed a red laundry truck parked across the street.
What time was that, Miss?
Well, I already told the sergeant. It was about 8:45.
Go on.
Well, when I came back from the store, maybe about 10 after 9, there was this big crowd, and the laundry truck was gone. That's all.
I see. Well, thank you very much. You've been very helpful.
Oh, it's all right. Say, why don't you call in one of those private eyes? In this movie, I saw the police never could solve the case, but the private eye, he was able to tell them...
Yes, I saw it.
Oh.
If you'll give your name and address to the officer by the door.
Oh, sure.
Tom, take this girl's name and address, will you? And thanks again. Come on, Lou.
You're going to trace the truck?
Yeah. If we can find that driver, he might have seen something that'll give us a line on the holdup man. It's the beginning, anyway. There it is, Lou. House with a little white fan.
Right. It's a nice little place, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Come on.
I sure hope that laundry driver can tell us something.
So do I. I was counting on finding some fingerprints in the vault. But no luck.
Fancy door knocker, huh?
Don't know why people have them. No one ever uses them.
Decoration. My wife made me buy one, too. She says it makes the door look neater. I wonder if he's home.
I hear someone coming.
Yes?
Floyd Skeers?
That's right.
I'm Captain Link. This is Sergeant Hance.
Police?
That's right. May we come in a minute?
Well, Yeah, sure. Come on in.
Thank you.
Yeah, what can I do for you? You selling tickets?
No, Mr. Skeers. We wanted to talk to you about the bank robbery this morning. You know about it?
Yes, I heard. Say, you'll have to excuse the apron. I was just fixing dinner. I always do my own cooking. Well, what about the bank robbery?
Well, we found out you had your laundry truck parked not far from the bank, just a little while before the robbery.
Yes, I did. A matter of fact, I usually stop in the bank the first thing in the morning to get changed, but this was my pickup day, and I didn't need any. And any other day, and I might have been right there.
Did you see anything unusual? A man running, maybe? A car leaving in a hurry?
No, not a thing, Sergeant. My dog, he wants to come in. Now let him wait. No, I was way down on Main Street before I even knew about the robbery. Wasn't there anyone else around?
No one but you.
Yeah, that's too bad. I wish I could help you. I think I'd better let him in. We'll scratch half the paint off the door.
We'll be going anyway.
Thought I'd forgot you, boy, huh?
He's a nice dog.
Yeah, he sure is.
Well, thanks, Mr. Skeers.
Well, that's all right. If I think of anything further, I'll get in touch with you.
Yes, do that. Goodbye.
Bye.
What do you think, Captain?
I don't know. Guess there was no reason for him to lie. Something about him almost seemed too friendly, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I sort of sensed it myself.
What now? I'm not exactly sure. Better check on what hoods are in town. Find out what they were doing this morning. Better find out if anybody's spending more money than he earns, too. Sounds like a lot of legwork. Good for the muscles, Lou. Good for the muscles. The search was on, Gangbusters listeners. Local, state, and federal authorities combined forces in a roundup of all suspicious characters and all possible leads. Roadblocks were set up, and planes of the Civil Air Patrol flew over backwoods areas hoping to spot any automobiles that deliberately avoided the blocks. 8 days went by, during which several leads were followed and then dropped as false. Then, in a small restaurant on one of Danville's side streets...
Hey, you over there at the bar. Me? Yeah, come here a minute. What do you want? You hungry? Sure, I'm hungry. Why? Sit down here. Have a meal on me. What? Sit down and eat. Well, you mean you're going to snake me? Sure. Be my guest. Sit down. You sure there's no catches? Go on. Order anything you like. Okay. I only got a quarter. I was just going to have a hamburger. I'll take the turkey. Say, what's the idea? This is a celebration? Sure, sort of. I always said if I ever made a strike, I'd set up a big meal for some guy who needed it every night for a week. Oh, that's nice. That's real nice. I was hungry once, Buster. I know what it's like. Oh, sure thing. And what'd you do? A business deal come through? Why, you might say. Hey, waiter, bring this man the turkey. Yeah, I had a good business deal. And there'll be more coming, too. Ah, that's good. A nice guy like you. A nice guy like you, he should always make out.
All right, Mo. Let's see the captain now.
What do you want from me? What'd you pick me up
You'll
for?
find out. Just relax.
I didn't do nothing. I swear I didn't.
You can tell that to the captain.
You cops, you're all alike. You pick up a guy who's minding his own business. Big deal, Captain. What am I supposed to do, Bow?
Just take it easy. Come in. All right, Mo. You first.
Don't shove, that's all. Don't shove.
All right, sit down over there, Mo. Hello, Mo. Nice going, Mo. He does a better job of acting each time.
Well, you know how it is. A guy can't be too careful.
All right, Mo. Go ahead and spill what you know.
Well, it's like this. There's a guy. His name is Jerry Keaton. For the last week now, he's been spending a lot of dough. He even spent some on me. He said it was a business deal, but it sounds kind of fishy to me. I thought you better know. You told me to be on the lookout.
About an hour later, Jerry Keaton was picked up in Danville's business section. He was soon in my office at police headquarters. There you are, Keaton.
Thanks. I was real thirsty.
All right, you had your glass of water. Now let's start all over again.
But I told you guys are crazy dragging me down to headquarters. I didn't do anything.
Where'd you get the dough you've been flashing?
I earned it. Where do you think?
Come off it, Keaton. We checked. You haven't worked for 2 years.
Well, it's true.
Now listen to me, Keaton. You're in real trouble. The only way you'll get along is to tell the truth. Now, where'd you get that money?
All right, I'll tell you. I didn't want to say.
I'm listening.
An uncle of mine died in Australia and left me his fortune. He started out as a newsboy and worked his way up to...
Cut it out, Keaton. Now, you better listen. A man may die because of that holdup, and if he does, no Australian uncle's going to help you.
Sure.
Get him out of here, Lou. Turn him over to Kelly. Have him booked on suspicion.
All right. Come on, Keaton. Look, you guys can't hold me. I don't know nothing about no bank job. I told you.
Detective Division, Captain Link. Oh, hello, Tom. Oh, what's that? I see. All right, thanks. Lou, can you come back here a moment? Kelly's putting him in his cell right now, Captain. Might be our man, all right. I'm not so sure now. Why? Just got a call from Tom Haynes. He just found out from a neighbor of his that this neighbor's brother-in-law lent a .32 automatic to a friend for some target practice. Never got it back. Friend said he lost the gun. Well, what's that got to do with Keaton? Just this. The name of the friend who first borrowed and then lost the gun is Scarce. Floyd Scarce.
Scarce, the laundry driver?
Mm-hmm. Our innocent friend, the laundry driver.
Back to Gangbusters in a moment. Tomorrow night, Lou Ayres plays the role of Sigmund Freud when the Radio Hall of Fame focuses a dramatic spotlight on the crisis of the famous scientist's controversial career. Hear how Dr. Freud faced his personal dilemma, whether to drown his curiosity about mental medicine and stay within the conventions of his day, or to follow his astonishing inclinations and court ridicule or worse from the established members of his profession. CBS Radio presents the Radio Hall of Fame tomorrow night on most of these stations with your host, Edward Arnold. Now, back to Gangbusters and Captain O. Thornton Link, formerly Chief of Detectives, Police Department, Danville, Virginia.
Once the unexpected information on Floyd Scarce was received, Gangbusters listeners, a new element had entered the case. Almost immediately, a check was begun on Scarce's background and financial conditions, and the next day in my office... Come in. What'd you find out, Lou?
Good deal, Captain. First, Scarce has always been a quiet, respectable guy. Nothing unusual about him.
Well, that's no help.
That's not all. Just yesterday, he paid off a bank loan he's owed for a long time, and he bought himself a flock of new clothes.
Oh, he's spending money, too.
Yeah, he is. Hey?
Yeah, just a minute. Detective Division, Captain Link.
Are you in charge of the detectives?
Yes, ma'am.
I told him I didn't want to talk to anyone but the man in charge.
I see. What can I do for you?
Well, I found a gun.
What's that?
A gun. I found a gun behind my house.
What kind of gun?
Oh, I don't know, a gun. Listen, are you sure you're the man in charge?
Yes, Let me have your name and address, ma'am. I want to come down to see you.
Here we are, Captain.
Yes. The woman out in front must be the one who phoned me.
Are you Captain Link?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm glad you're here. I was getting real nervous with that gun around.
Where is it?
Oh, I didn't touch it. Wouldn't dare touch it.
That's very wise, ma'am. Now suppose you show me where it is.
All right. It's around behind the house. Come on, I'll lead the way.
Right, ma'am.
They didn't want to let me talk to you at first. But I always insist on talking to the man in charge. The way to get things done.
Nice lawn you have here.
Yeah. High school boy comes by and looks after it. Oh, you see that little brook behind the house? It's where I found the gun.
How'd you happen to find it?
Well, there's a place in the brook where I like to dip out water sometimes for the flowers, but it's all blocked up with twigs and things. I started to try to clear it out. Here we are. Isn't it pretty here?
Yes, ma'am. Where's the gun?
Oh, well, if you'll bend down here, this is where I was clearing out the twigs. It's at the bottom.
Yeah, I see it. I'll get it out, Captain. Go ahead.
Be careful. Don't point it at me.
Don't worry, ma'am, I won't. Here you are, Captain.
It's a 32.
You think someone lost it?
That's possible. Excuse me a minute, ma'am. Hello.
Yes, Captain.
Good day. This is just about 2 blocks from his house. What time does he get through with his route?
He ought to be home now.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's thank the lady and go pay Scarce a visit.
Yes?
Can we come in, Mr. Scarce?
Hi, the captain again. Sure. Come on in.
Thanks.
Yeah, make yourselves at home. Want me to fix some drinks?
No drinks, Mr. Scarce. We want to talk to you.
Sure. Well, you might as well sit down.
We'll stand.
Oh. Well, I'll sit down then. Tough day. Now, what can I tell you? I think I gave you all the information I had, but if there's anything else...
There is. Ever see this gun before?
No, I never saw it before.
And then where's the 32 you borrowed?
Oh, you heard about that.
Yes, we did. Where is it?
I think I'll fix myself a drink. I lost it. One day I had it, the next day it was gone. You sure you
Don't want to drink.
No, thanks.
I wanted to take some target practice. That's why I borrowed it.
Did you know the man at the bank says the gun used on him was a .32?
Oh, no, wait a
minute. And he says that whoever held him up knew the bank's routine very well, especially their morning routine.
Hey, look, I don't know anything about that holdup. Just what I told you, nothing more.
Then why did you try to hide the gun?
I didn't. I told you. I lost it.
In someone's backyard.
I don't know anything about it. Maybe somebody found it, and then maybe he dropped it in the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
You got no right to question me like this. I haven't done anything.
Then you've got nothing to be afraid of, have you?
That's right. There's nothing to be afraid of.
Sit down, Mr. Scarce.
You all right? Look, I'd be glad to help you if I could, but there's nothing I can do.
That's what you said before. Where's your telephone?
Right over there on the table. You can use it if you want.
Thanks. Lou?
Yes, Cap.
Call the hospital. See if Mr. Wilson, the bank employee, is well enough to come down to headquarters for a lineup.
Right. Hey, what are you going to do?
Give you a fair chance, Scarce. You said you had nothing to do with that holdup. All right, I'll see if you're telling the truth. I'll see if John Wilson recognizes you.
You can't make me come down to headquarters. You'll have to arrest me to do that.
But that's exactly what we're doing, Mr. Scarce. You're under arrest. Sure you're up to this, Mr. Wilson?
Yes, I'm all right. I'm anxious to see the man apprehended.
I think we've got the right man for you. Sit down here, Mr. Wilson. I'll come out and get you as soon as we're ready for you.
All right.
Oh, so there you are. How long is this farce going to go on?
Not much longer, Mr. Scarce. Who'd you get for the lineup, Lou?
Three of the boys, Haynes, Cook, and Jensen.
Good.
I got Jerry Keaton, too. I thought it'd be a good idea to have him in on this.
Fine. Where are they?
Waiting outside the other door.
All right, go bring him in.
Right. All right, come on in, fellas. You too, Keaton.
I'm getting tired of being pushed around
It'll be over soon. Come on, over this way.
All right. Now, you, Scarce, and you, Keaton, here's what I want you to do. These other three men are detectives. Wilson doesn't know any of them. They're all about the same height and general shape as the man we're looking for. I want you to line up with them, and when Wilson comes in, I want you to stand perfectly still. Understand?
Yeah, sure.
How about you, Scarce?
Well, I understand, but I don't like it.
I'm not asking you to like it. I'm asking you to do it. Okay, get in line. Lou, get Wilson.
We're all set, Mr. Wilson. Good. Now, when we go in, you'll see 5 men. Look at them carefully and try to pick out the one that hit you over the head.
You're sure it's one of them?
Well, you're the only one that can tell us that.
All right, I'm ready.
All right, Mr. Wilson. Here they are. Look at them carefully.
I don't have to, Captain. There he is. Right there. There's the one.
Keaton. He's pointing to Keaton.
He's crazy.
Are you sure, Mr. Wilson?
Yes. I'd never forget him. It's him, all right.
All right, thank you very much.
Is that all?
That's all for now. I appreciate your coming down.
It's all right. It's all right.
Thanks a lot, men. You can go, too. Keaton, stay where you are.
How about Scarce? Don't let him out of here.
It's eating you, Keaton.
I'm not taking a rap for both of us. That's what's eating me.
You mean Scarce was in on it with you?
You bet he was. If I get set up, so does he. I'm spelling.
Oh, you dirty.
Hold it, Scarce. Hold it.
All right, Keaton. What's the story?
It was his idea. He knew the bank. He got the gun. He drove me to the bank in his truck. I went in, I pulled a job, and walked to the truck, and we drove away.
He's lying. I never saw him before.
Sure, you never saw me before. How's your dog? Do you still keep your liquor on that table in your living room?
All right. It's true.
What about the money, Scarce? Where is it?
I'll show you. I'll take you to it. For a year, I planned it. Seemed so
perfect enough, Scarce. It never is. Lloyd Scarce led the detectives to a garage behind a vacant house located near his. There, beneath a thin layer of soil, the officers found a pillowcase bulging with the stolen money. The next day, March 1st, 1954, the grand jury returned indictments charging both men with armed robbery. They received speedy trials and were sentenced to long terms in prison, which they are now serving.
Thank you, Captain O. Thornton Link, former Chief of Detectives, Police Department, Danville, Virginia. And now, Gangbusters Nationwide Clues, broadcast every week to assist American police in their war against the underworld. Attention all citizens. Be on the alert for a convicted murderer, Patrick Eugene McDermott, wanted by the FBI for unlawful flight to avoid confinement. Listen carefully to his official description.
Age 56, 5 feet 4.5 inches, 172 pounds, brown hair, graying, medium complexion, may seek work as a hospital technician, machinist, barber, or composer of crossword puzzles. This fugitive has a 1-inch oblique scar over left eyebrow, tip of left index finger amputated, has tattoo of red and blue bulldog head, right forearm, has complete set of upper and lower dentures, which he may not be wearing, sometimes wears glasses, is interested in astrology, and composes crossword puzzles.
McDermott reportedly carries a snub-nosed revolver in right coat pocket. Consider him dangerous. Attention all citizens. Be vigilant for Herbert Bechtel, wanted by the FBI for unlawful flight to avoid prosecution for the crime of robbery. His official description.
Herbert Dennis Bechtel, age 37, 5 feet 7, 175 to 80 pounds, stocky build, brown hair, brown eyes, ruddy complexion, may seek work as a beekeeper or a dairyman. This man has a 2-inch scar on chin. Nail on left ring finger is marred. He has a 6-inch scar on back of left leg. Ball of his left heel has been amputated, causing limp. He may be wearing mustache and long sideburns and have hair dyed and artificially waved.
Caution. Bechtel may be armed and has reportedly stated that he will not be taken alive. He should be considered extremely dangerous. If you have any information concerning these clues, notify your local police, the nearest office of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or Gangbusters at once. Tonight's Gangbusters case was dramatized by Art Wallace and directed by Leonard L. Bass, with Bob Haig, Maurice Tarplin, and Bryna Rayburn in leading roles. Gaylord Avery speaking. In the case of the jealous wife on Gangbusters.
Proudly we hail. From New York City, where the American stage begins, here is another program with a cast of outstanding players. Public service time has been made available by this station for your Army and your Air Force to bring you this story, as proudly we hail the United States Air Force. Triple Threat Team. This is the story of a team of aircraft observers, 3 highly skilled officers sent to investigate a strange occurrence high in the skies over the frozen wastelands far to the north. Our first act curtain will rise in just a moment, but first, want a job, a big job, a job with the biggest future of them all? If you're single between the ages of 19 and 26 and a half, you may qualify. Naturally, you must be in top mental and physical condition. Training isn't easy, but it's the best. And when you've completed training, you'll graduate as an aircraft observer, win your silver wings, and be earning more than $5,000 a year as an Air Force lieutenant. You'll know aerial navigation, radar, the theory of gunnery and bombing, many other highly specialized subjects. If you qualify, you can begin classes within 2 weeks. Approximately 14 months later, you'll be in the sky with your teammates, a crew aboard one of Uncle Sam's finest airplanes. For full information, visit your local U.S. Army and U.S. Air Force recruiting stations. And now your Army and your Air Force present the proudly rehailed production, Triple Threat Team. Take an average American between the ages of 19 and 26 and a half. Give him normal intelligence, a yen for adventure, ambition, and the capacity to work. In 14 months, the Air Force will develop him into a triple threat officer, a highly skilled aircraft observer trained in electronics, navigation, bombardment, and radar. Hugh McTagg, Hank Wadilla, and Herb Light are 3 average young Americans when they enter training as aviation cadets. Equal to most young people their ages, equal to each other. Only Herb thinks he's a little more equal than anyone else. It starts to come out during classroom work, and there are 1,350 classroom hours in the training of an aircraft observer.
Gentlemen, I've distributed among you photos of Bridgeport, Connecticut, as it looks on the radar scope. Now, from an examination of this photo, what would you say is the primary target in the area? Jake?
The shipyard, sir. Water's always the easiest thing to spot on the scope, and it outlines the shipyard very clearly.
That's right, McTagg. Of course, if the scope happened to be an AFC manual, what is it, Light? Have you something to add?
Yes, sir. McTagg is wrong.
Character. He go hide under a bush. Oh, why do you think McTagg's answer is wrong, Light?
Well, I happen to go to college near Bridgeport, sir, and I know there's a big machine tool plant located here on the northwest corner of the photo.
Well, we can barely see the plant there. Hardly call that a primary target.
Yeah, well, that's my point, sir. Although you can't see it on the picture very well, I happen to know the plant is surrounded by an electrified fence. Now, assuming that fence was turned on at this
Mr.
time...
Light, assuming that we must stay on schedule, can you turn yourself off at this time? You may have a point, but I think it's much better taken up when we get to another subject later on. To continue, gentlemen,
Yes, Herb Light is put in his place every once in a while by a harassed instructor, but his classmates can't do much about him. The trouble is, he's one of those know-it-alls who really does know a great deal. He's as hard to take in the air as on the ground, and the aircraft observer gets over 100 hours of actual flight training.
Pilot and first student navigator Wadilla. Change course 8 degrees right. Repeat, 08 right.
Navigator for pilot, course altered. Out.
Hey, Wadilla, you're wrong.
Oh, shut up, Light. I'm first navigator on this trip.
I know, but you tell him he's overcorrect.
Wadilla is first navigator. Our only job is to follow. You cross-check by doing map reading with dead reckoning navigation.
Listen, I got a heavy day tonight, and he's going to get us lost.
He'd be doing your girl a favor.
Oh, yeah? Listen to me, Wadilla. You shouldn't correct more than 2 degrees. Your wind must be wrong. Look, quit trying to man every position in the ship. When you're first navigator, Light, you can strap the motors to your chest and fly around by yourself for all I care. But until then, stick to your own job.
Okay. That's the way you want it.
Wadilla.
Yes, Lieutenant?
You overcorrected slightly. It seems the course should have been 6 degrees to the right.
See? What I said. You were wrong.
Well, so were you, Light. You said 2 degrees.
Now, look, you men are being trained as triple threats to function as a team. When an error is made, you're all wrong, and no passing the buck. The error started with McTagg's DR wind, which you should have caught 20 minutes ago, Light. Men have a lot to learn about teamwork. I want to see the 3 of you when we land.
Teamwork, the essence of the Air Force, and nowhere more important than among triple threat aircraft observers. Hank and Hugh learned about it, all about it. So did Herb Light. He could learn anything, but he didn't really believe in it. Even in advanced training, Herb thinks of himself as something apart. He's hard to argue with because he's number one in the class, but considerably lower in the private personal rating of his classmates.
Hey, look, here we made it. We're on the same floor.
Oh, good deal, huh?
Uh-oh. What?
We've also got Light, boy wonder of the airline.
Did I hear my name mentioned?
You did, and for once you weren't mentioning it.
Well, well, glad to see you boys have been assigned to my team. Your team?
Look, get one thing straight, Light, and get it straight now. It isn't your team, it's our team. We have a job to do, and we can only do it by pulling together on an equal basis. Better drum that simple thought into your superior brain before it's too late. Come on, Hank. Wake up, you. Wake up, out of the sack. What's the matter? What's up, Light?
Star class, get on the ball. Hey, Hank, get up, get up.
Oh, man.
Go ahead. Come on, Star class, get on the ball.
Star class.
Oh, it's 3 a.m. Hey, what have they got that planetarium for?
You won't have a planetarium in the plane. Come on, let's go. Wait a second. Let me get my pants on. Oh, boy. It's cold, huh?
I read somewhere that more people die at 3 a.m. than at any other time. They just give up hope.
Now, this spot here will do. Now, for a start, I want you to point out all navigational stars of the first magnitude. Wait a minute, Light. Where are the others? Where's the instructor? What goes on? We're the only one. I thought it'd be a good idea if I gave you...
You mean this is your own screwball idea? Your idea?
Well, sure, it's my idea. I intend to check you guys on various things every once in a while. I want to make sure I'm backed up by the best team in the Air Force.
We ought to back you against the barracks and brain you. 3 a.m.
Oh, now, wait a second.
I'll give you 3 to beat it. 1.
You see my point, don't you, Hank?
2.
All right, you guys. But you're making a mistake. I was just trying to help you. Oh, brother, to think of the thousands of people in the Air Force, and we had to get him on the team.
No, we could do worse. He's very sharp and extremely conscientious.
And such a pain in the neck. Hey, I want to tell you something before we hit the dock again. I phoned Nora last night.
She's some girl from that picture.
Yeah, you'll see it. We're going to be married.
Hey, swell, boy. Congratulations.
Yeah, we're taking a big step. She's coming down next week for graduation, and the chaplain's going to tie the knot right after we get the old wings. I want you to be the best man.
Gee, thanks a lot, you. It's sure nice of you to ask me. And I'll help all I can with the arrangement.
Where the deuce have you been, Hank? What's happened to your arrangements? I've been waiting with the chaplain 30 minutes. He's still waiting. Where's Nora?
That's the trouble. I don't know. She was supposed to meet me here in the lobby of the Reddington right after we got our wings. I can't figure out what's keeping her.
Oh, what a mess. You and your superstitions. You wouldn't let me see the bride on the day of the wedding. Oh, no, you had to escort her over to the chapel. Now, where is she?
Take it easy, boy. Take it easy. Everything will work out.
Oh, hello, man. Why the worried faces? Go away, Light. We're busy. If it's Nora you're looking for, she's waiting in the lobby of the Stafford for you. The Stafford? Who said so? I do. I took her there.
You what?
Sure, when I found out the bridal suite was unavailable here, quick like a bunny, I shipped her over to the Stafford. It's at a hotel anyhow. Who gave you permission to stick your nose in my wedding? But I'm the best man.
I'm the best man, you knucklehead.
You? Hey, don't be silly. Naturally, I'm best man when any member of our team gets married. There isn't time to kill him now, Hank. Nora's waiting. Let's go.
It was a lovely wedding, darling.
This wedding supper isn't too hard to take either. I ordered it myself.
You don't have to try eating it all by yourself, like. Pass the olives, huh?
Hey, that isn't nice.
Well, it's just that when he eats, he reminds me of a concrete mixer.
I think it's awful the way you two pick on poor Herbert after he's been so sweet.
Yeah. I hear the orders are coming through any time. I wonder where we'll be sent.
Oh, I hope it's Ramey Air Force Base. That Puerto Rico was supposed to be nice duty.
Now, well, so long as we get to use the K system, I don't care where it is. Right now, I'll admit, all I can think of is the 30-day leave coming up.
And don't anyone ask where we're going to spend our honeymoon.
Hey, you!
Congratulations, fella.
Thanks.
Nice drawing. Some trick to win your wife and your wings on the same day.
Thanks, Mike. Nora, this is Mike Sweeney, your classmate.
Hello, Mike.
All the luck in the world, Mrs. McCabe.
You know, you're the first person to call me that. Sounds so funny.
You'll get used to it. Have you fellas seen the orders? They're out, you know. Oh, no, we've been very busy getting these two married. Well, what's the proof? Well, you're going to Travis Air Force Base on some special deal. You're the only team assigned there. It sounds very special. You'll report in 3 days. Can't tell you any more than that. Well, so long.
So long. 3 days. Hey, this sounds hot. Gee, I'm terribly sorry about the honeymoon, darling.
Oh, don't be silly, you. You have an important job to do. I'm proud to make some sacrifices.
So it's Travis, eh? And they're rushing us there right away. It could be big. Very big.
You are listening to the proudly we-hailed production Triple Threat Team. We'll return in just a moment for the second act. If you're a young man with ambition to get ahead and you want to get in on the ground floor of something big, then here's your chance. Set your sights on becoming an aircraft observer in the United States Air Force. You must be a single American citizen, between 19 and 26 and a half years old, have had 2 years of college and be otherwise qualified. Then you can join the ranks of some of America's finest young men, the aviation cadets. You'll take advanced courses in electronics and navigation. And when you win your wings as an aircraft observer, you'll be one of the Air Force officers who keep American planes in the air. If you think you can qualify, now's your chance to find out. Get all the details at your local U.S. Army and U.S. Air Force recruiting station. You are listening to Proudly We Hail, and now we present the second act of Triple Threat Team. The Triple Threat Team of Hugh McCabe, Hank Wadilla, and Herb Light reports to Travis Air Force Base. It has all the earmarks of a special deal. Leave canceled, rush orders, and they're the only team sent to Travis. They go to the adjutant. The adjutant passes them along to the executive officer.
Gentlemen, we're happy to have you with us. Because of your fine records and particular qualifications, you've been assigned to this command. We have a special job for you to do.
What kind of a job, sir?
All in good time, Lieutenant. You'll be given your check out in RB-36 as soon as possible. Perhaps later today. After that, well, all in good time, gentlemen. All in good time.
At dawn, 2 days later, they're on their way to the briefing room. Even Herb is strangely quiet as they pass the flight line. They see the big RB-36 being run up by the mechanics, looming huge and somehow lonely in the early morning mist. They enter operation. They walk through to the briefing room. It's a large room, and their crew is the only one present. The operations officer stands in front of a map, tapping on the floor with a pointer.
Oh, don't anyone say this is it.
Or isn't it?
Well, guess we might as well begin. All right, you men are going to fly to the Arctic Circle, possibly to the North Pole, in exploration of jet streams. All right, now, we know jet streams are narrow currents of very strong winds found between 20,000 and 40,000 feet above sea level, but we still have a lot to learn about them. A week ago, we were startled to receive a report about a jet stream in the vicinity of the pole. They don't usually wander that far north, we thought. So your job is to locate this jet stream, chart it, and bring back as much information as you can. Now, we've got certain reports for you observers to fill out. Remember, this information is of vital importance to us. Vital in designing safer planes and correlating the upper air chart, well, for many reasons.
Jet stream. Ooh, I thought this was going to be something hot. Quiet, Herb. I'm trying to listen.
Now, men, you can see on the map here the route we've laid out for you. Travis to Anchorage, Alaska. Now, you should find the stream around 36,000 feet. However, it might blow at an almost vertical angle. That's one of the things you'll have to find out. Now, a word of warning, then. This jet stream is reported to have a speed well in excess of 200 knots.
Wow.
Uh-huh. Does sound incredible. Captain Stokes, You'll have to keep a particularly close check on fuel consumption. On the way out, you'll be bucking it.
Yes, sir. That baby's liable to have us going backwards.
Oh, there's one other dangerous element about the stream. Reports indicate a violent turbulence within it. Aircraft in this stream might be susceptible to wallowing, uncontrolled roll, and momentary upsets. So stay in it as long as you can, Stokes, but don't take unnecessary chances.
We'll bring back the information. Still bored, like?
I'm trying to hear the man.
After base stations, a weather officer talks about technical data required, and then the executive says a word himself. Finally, briefing is over. Next stop, the equipment room for parachute, Mae West, oxygen mask, and Arctic survival kit. Then out to the planes. Each man takes his position. There's that tense moment of waiting before the first huge engine is started. Herb sits at the spacious desktop, the office they call it, and spreads his maps and charts in front of him. He's first navigator, responsible for the final plot from which the plane is directed. Hank sets up the astral compass in the astrodome. An ordinary compass is useless in polar regions. Hugh switches on the K system. K system is the Air Force's fantastic new development, an electronic computer, radar instrument, and mechanical brain all rolled into one. The big plane taxis to the end of the street, halts for clearance from the tower, and then roars down the runway. A slight downward pressure in the stomach, and they're airborne. The monster plane lifts with surprising grace. San Francisco dwindles to a dot below and behind them. Ahead, Anchorage, Alaska, 1,786 nautical miles. From Anchorage to the North Pole, 1,706 nautical miles, through some of the worst flying weather in the world. And in between Anchorage and the Pole, a ghostly target, which can be neither seen nor heard. A dangerous target, the jet stream. No flash to stop them, no fighters, only the forces of nature at their most violent. The observers bend over their charts and instruments. It's their job to get them there and get them back.
Pilot from First Navigator.
First Navigator from Pilot. Go ahead.
We'll be over Anchorage Tower in 4 minutes, 38 seconds.
Letting it pretty fine, aren't you, boys?
You want to bet on 10 seconds either way?
Out with a team of triple threat. Can't see a thing. There's a complete undercast. I'll call in if you say so.
The length from Travis to Anchorage is routine, but from Anchorage to the Pole, it's polar navigation all the way.
I'm switching charts to polar stereographic. Get me a reading on the astral compass, Hank. I already got one, Herb. 128.5. Will you check it with the sunline view?
I already did. 128.5 it is. Or do you want us to figure it down to seconds?
All crew members from Pilot, put on oxygen masks. We are at 20,000 feet and climbing.
Pilot from right gunner.
Pilot to gunner. Go ahead.
Where's this here jet stream, sir? I feel a draft on my neck. Could that be it?
When we hit that stream, you'll know it. Don't worry. Oxygen masks adjusted? Right. Right. Yes. This is turning out to be a milk run. I could have let you boys come without me. Why didn't you hop on an iceberg? Did you play? Maybe. Hey, you, look here. You read what I read? Holy cow, we're drifting 40 degrees. We're in it. Hey, Herb, we're in the stream. That's with a wind like that. Pilot from Navigator. Go ahead. Correct, 42 degrees left. Repeat, correct, 42 degrees left. We're in the stream. Roger, Herb. Let me know when you triple threats have all your boots. Can't control rate of climb anymore. I want to get out of this crazy stream before we hit turbulence. It's like a toboggan slide, only uphill. Roger, will do. How we doing, Hank? You got the stream plotted? Stokes wants to get out of the stream. Yeah, just finished.
What about you, Hugh?
Yeah, big corner, sir.
Right. Check in the pilot as soon as you finish. Where are you going? Down the tunnel. I want to get a good look at the pole through the blister window. What do you expect to see? Santa Claus and the peppermint stick? You know, you guys haven't any intellectual curiosity. That's your trouble. Maybe it wasn't intellectual curiosity, but it sure kills the cat.
Herb crawls back through the tunnel big enough for 6 men to sleep during the long mission. He reaches Eddie, the right gunner, who's scanning the engine through his blister window. Plugs into intercom.
Hi, Lieutenant. What's new? Oh, I just want to take a look at the North Pole through your blister. Yeah, we near it?
And then it hits them, the dreaded turbulence, with all the violence of nature at her meanest.
What's this up, Lieutenant? Pull up here. No, don't drive back.
Explosive decompression, a dangerous thing to have happen in any pressurized ship. Trying to maintain his balance in the violent, jarring turbulence, Herb unwittingly grabbed the release lever on the blister window, which can be used as an escape hatch. The window flies out. Result, explosive decompression as the normal pressure inside the ship explodes into the extremely low pressure on the outside at 38,000 feet. Eddie is half dragged through the window by the suction. Herb dives for him.
Hang on, Eddie. Hang on. I'll drag you in. Oh, there. Oh, close. Thanks a lot, Lieutenant. You saved my life. You okay, Lieutenant? Lieutenant? Hey, Lieutenant! Lieutenant! Pilot, from right gunner.
Go ahead.
Accident back here.
We know. Been calling you. Explosive decompression, SOP complete, all on oxygen. Cabin's even full of mist up here. Anybody hurt?
Lieutenant Light, he's unconscious.
Put him on pure oxygen. Gotta get out of the stream first, then we'll send someone back to help.
Wrenching the big ship around like a fighter, pilot and co-pilot finally manage to evade the jet stream. It takes the strength of 2 athletic men to apply the controls against the vicious air current. As soon as the ship levels out, free of the stream, Hank goes back to see Herb. Eddie has him wrapped in the casualty bag. They carry Herb forward where the ride is smoother.
First navigator from pilot.
Pilot from first navigator, McCasey.
How bad is life?
Can't tell much. Looks like it's back. But we better get him to a hospital fast.
What's the nearest emergency field that can take 36?
Last at Fairbanks and at the main hospital. We're heading 326 degrees. Repeat, 326 degrees. ETA 1827.
Roger.
Yeah, here it is. But look, I got a better idea. Let me show you. If we pick up the jet stream again at 32,000 and ride it down, we'll save more than an hour. We're going to get Herb to a dock fast. Yeah, but what about turbulence? That won't be any. Not below 32,000 feet. Look at my clock. Pilot from navigator.
Go ahead.
At the same time, if we hook onto the jet stream again, it'll be on our tail this time.
We can't stand another bouncing around.
Won't be any below 32,000 feet.
Well, if you triple thread say so, it's good enough. What's the heading?
Correct, 14 degrees right. Repeat, 14 right.
Roger.
On corrected heading, ETA ILSIS 1703.
Wow. You mean it? That'll be a record.
Repeat, 1703.
Ilson Tower, this is Air Force 7149. Injured man on board. Request immediate landing.
Air Force 7149, cleared to enter traffic pattern. Landing runway 2. Ambulance standing by.
Roger, Tower, and out.
are you this morning, Herb?
Fine. That's a great hospital. Doc says you got me here just in time for him to prevent permanent injury to my back. That extra hour meant a lot. Did we get all the poop we were supposed to?
Uh-huh. Mission completed.
We'll be returning to Travis today. Well, save my place for me on the team. I'll be along in a couple of weeks. It's funny. The only way I could learn about teamwork was sitting on the sidelines. I guess I owe you...
Oh, skip it. Look, when you get back, the old triple threat team of McKay, Guardilla, and Light will really strut its stuff.
We got to push along now, Herb. Be waiting for you at Travis.
Well, hold it a second. On that last 6 you got, I was conscious then.
Oh, now, Herb.
Yeah, you're right. I'd have done exactly the same thing. I hope. You know, we were meant to be on the same team, we three. All our first names begin with H. You ever think of that?
No.
Yeah.
Well, calibrate that pillow while you can, boy, because there's a lot of work ahead for the Flying H's.
Here's a message from your United States Air Force to you. You've a chance to join the key men on the Air Force's flying team as an aircraft observer. Yes, you can be one of the men who plot the sky tracks of the heavy bombers and the big transports if you look ahead now. Here's what you can do. You can take a year's training with pay, and after graduation as an aviation cadet, become a flying officer team member with the silver wings of an aircraft observer, earning more than $5,000 a year. But can you qualify? You can if you're between 19 and 26 and a half, single, are in good physical condition, of high moral standards, and have had 2 or more years of college training. For full information, visit your nearest U.S. Army and U.S. Air Force recruiting station. This has been another program on Proudly We Hail, presented transcribed in cooperation with this station. Proudly We Hail is produced by the Recruiting Publicity Center for the United States Army and United States Air Force Recruiting Service. This is Kenneth Banghart speaking and inviting you to tune in the same station next week for another interesting story on Proudly We Hail.
Kreml Hair Tonic and Kreml Shampoo present the new adventures of Sherlock Holmes, starring Nigel Bruce as Dr. Watson and Tom Conway as Sherlock Holmes. Now, here we are once more in Dr. Watson's study. And maybe we're not glad to get here. If we hadn't had a Sherlock Holmes story waiting for us at the other end, we'd have never ventured out on a night like this.
Pretty bad weather out, Mr. Bell?
Indeed it is, Dr. Watson. There's a cold wind that chills you to the bone. I had one hand holding my coat collar and the other holding my hat all the way over. I felt as though some malignant deity were determined to keep me from reaching your door. You hear that wind? Reminds me of what I just escaped from.
Oh, it's typical Edinburgh weather, Mr. Bell. Perhaps you've heard that there's no language richer in terms of reproach against the howling wind than the Scots dialect. Snell, Bly, Nearly, Scouthering, to mention just a handful. All of them words that carry a shiver with them. Yes, as Stevenson so aptly puts it, Edinburgh pays cruelly for our high seat and commanding views, in one of the vilest climates under heaven. She's liable to be beaten upon by all the winds that blow, to be drenched with rain, to be buried in cold sea fogs out of the east, and powdered with the snow as it comes flying southward from the highland hills. The weather is raw and boisterous in winter, shifty and ungenial in summer, and a downright purgatory in the spring.
It sounds like a pretty unattractive place, Dr. Watson.
Oh, there you're entirely wrong, Mr. Bell. Nowhere will you find such stark magnificence, such grim beauty. Edinburgh, the great granite sphinx of the north, crouching high on a towering rock and looking across the intervening plains to the waters of the Forth and to the North Sea. Fascinating, regal, splendid, and cruel. Yes, I think this is just the night to tell the story of the haunted Bagpipes, one of the weirdest and most gruesome adventures that Holmes and I ever shared. The setting was Edinburgh, and the motivating character, Professor Moriarty.
Professor Moriarty, the man Holmes called the Napoleon of crime.
Exactly.
I wondered when we were going to have another of your famous bouts with Professor Moriarty. They're always pretty hair-raising.
Yes, and I think I can safely promise you that this is the most hair-raising of the lot. In fact, it's so unbelievably macabre and gruesome that I've never told it to any but to my closest friends, those who know that I'm a truthful man. In fact, sometimes, in the sane light of day, I doubt myself that this adventure really happened. But a night like this brings it all back to me in all its horror. Yes, Mr. Bell, on a night like this we realize that anything is possible.
Ladies and gentlemen, before Dr. Watson begins his story, men, I have a friend who used to comb his hair with water. After the water dried, his hair would get out of place and he didn't look neatly groomed. Well, I ran into him last Saturday and he said he'd heard me talking about Kreml hair tonic and decided to try it. You should see the big improvement Kreml made in his appearance. Why, he looked like a different man. You see, Kreml contains a special combination of hair grooming ingredients which is found in no other hair tonic. That's why it keeps every hair in place all day, just as you combed it in the morning. Kreml gives hair a healthy-looking luster, too. Yet it never leaves hair feeling greasy or dirty like some of those sticky preparations you want to wash right out. Kreml always feels and looks so clean on your hair and scalp. It always gives hair such a clean-cut, prosperous appearance. Why not try it? Spelled Kreml, Kreml Hair Tonic. Now, Dr. Watson, won't you please go on with the story? The shivers run up and down my spine in anticipation.
Well, I certainly will. As I look back on that particular visit to Edinburgh, it seems that a cold fear settled into the very marrow of my bones from the moment we got off the train late one winter afternoon and caught our first glimpse of Edinburgh Castle rising bleak and menacing out of a cloud of fog and rain.
There it is, Watson, in all its austere majesty, Edinburgh Castle.
Nice, impressive pile of stone. Nice and grim.
No grimmer than its history, Watson. Part castle, part fortress, part prison. Wars have been plotted there. Dancing has lasted deep into the night. Murder has been done in its chambers.
Well, this is no time to stand here chatting. Let's get out in this confounded rain.
Rain, Watson? You are getting soft. This isn't rain, it's just a good Scotch mist.
Miss, my grandmother. I'm soaked to the skin and my teeth are chattering like castanets. Thank heaven the town has a few modern hotels. A nice hot toddy at the Royal, eh?
I'm sorry to disappoint you, Watson, but this is not a pleasure trip. We must forego the luxuries of Princess Street and take up our quarters in the Old Town.
The Old Town? Holmes, you mean that we're going to live in one of those crumbling grey stone houses all huddled together on the slope leading up to the castle?
Exactly.
Why, they're nothing but tenements.
Those lands, as they're called, once housed the flower of the Scottish nobility. In the old days, this was a walled city, and space was at a premium. That is why those crazy buildings tower 8 and 10 stories into the air.
Yes, but the days of nobility are over. Those tenements are full of goodness knows what.
True. What more suitable dwelling place could one imagine for our friend, Professor Moriarty?
Professor Moriarty?
Quite. You may have noticed, Watson, that London has been singularly free from crime during the last few months. And for a very good reason. Professor Moriarty was not in residence.
Oh, you mean that you think we've succeeded in driving him out?
No, Watson. Let us not underrate the professor. He is not in London because he has business elsewhere. But where? I confess I was in complete ignorance until the day before yesterday morning, when I received a telegram informing me that one of Moriarty's chief assistants had been seen prowling through the graves at Grey Friars. Then I remembered that Professor Moriarty has a particular reason for hating Edinburgh. He's not a man to forget his grudges, Watson. The question is, shall we be in time to prevent his revenge? But here, get into this cab before you catch pneumonia.
Professor Moriarty in Edinburgh. Huh. I thought the place was even more forbidding than usual.
Oh, cabby, let us out in front of St. Giles.
Aye. I say, Holmes, why St. Giles? You're not going in for sightseeing this time of day?
No, Watson. We must go from there on by foot, I'm afraid.
By foot in this weather? The gutters are fairly running with muddy water.
No one asked you to walk in the gutters, Watson.
Here you be. St. Giles.
So it is. Come along, Watson.
Oh, gracious me, this rain.
I say, cabby, where's Hangman's Lane from here?
Lash, you'll no be going there.
Why not? It's where we hope to spend the night.
'Tis an unchancy spot, gentlemen. You'll never find me going up Hangman's Lane after dark.
As bad as that, huh?
I'll no stand here arguing with you. It's the first land back of the kirk, if you must go.
Thanks. Here, drink to our health.
Achone. There you stand, two fine, upstanding gentlemen, hale and hearty, with a black shadow of death looking over your shoulder. Ah, well, didn't say I didn't warn you. Come along, Beatrice.
Cheerful individual. Holmes, what do you say? Let's go back and spend the night at a good hotel. We can't possibly find any lodgings in a place like Hangman's Lane.
But we shall, Watson. We shall. They're expecting us. Come along.
What do you mean, they're expecting us?
I mean the owner of most of the tenements in Hangman's Lane has arranged that we should be taken care of. He is most anxious to have us inspect his property.
Oh, very well, but I don't see what that has got to do with our search for Professor Moriarty.
Whenever anything curious and inexplicable happens in the professor's neighborhood, the chances are he's mixed up in it. Ah, here's Hangman's Lane. Narrow, steep little byway, eh, Watson?
I don't like it, Holmes. No lights in any of the windows. Usually these tall houses are overrun with inhabitants. Several families to a floor. Look, the buildings in this street look positively deserted.
They are deserted, Watson. That's the most interesting part of it.
Oh, really?
One particular house hasn't been open for several hundred years. But during the last month, the rest of the tenements have been vacated, too. Their inhabitants have fled from them like rats from a sinking ship. The rents have been lowered to the vanishing point, and still there are no takers. The people hereabouts seem to think the whole street is haunted.
Couldn't we come up here and look the place over in the daytime, Holmes? Look, already the light's beginning to fade.
Unfortunately, Watson, the phenomena we're going to investigate occur only at night.
Oh, dear.
Ah, here's the house we're to stay in. There should be a bell somewhere. Yes.
Well, perhaps there isn't anyone to let us in.
I think there will be, Watson. Yes, I hear footsteps.
Yes?
Mr. Holmes and Dr. Watson.
Oh, the Lord be thanked. One moment, gentlemen. I'll unbar the door. Oh, be pleased to enter.
Go ahead, Watson.
Good Lord, it's dark in here.
And if you'll kindly step this way, there's a broad blaze burning and candles lit in the back parlour. Look, can you, gentlemen? This corridor is not so smooth as once it was.
Yeah, so I discovered.
This is the place. Please enter.
Oh, well, this is more like it, eh, Holmes? What a magnificent old room. Just look at that fireplace.
Aye. For once a blithe bit, this old house. Full of lords and their ladies, they say. But here, gentlemen, will you be standing in front of the fire and drying your bricks?
Not a bad idea. We're pretty wet, eh, Watson?
Wet?
There's a brandy on the shell you're wanting away, Droppy. A tasty cockle pie in a pot. And no, if you'll forgive me, I'm unshunk myself a while.
Going so soon? But we've just arrived.
Oh, Mr. Holmes, I dare not stay after sundown. I'm late to let you alone, but I dare not stay. But in a fashion still, I'll return them on early.
But what is there to be afraid of?
The neighbours.
Neighbours?
Aye, the neighbours in the old Hurley house other side of this wall.
But no one has lived in that house next door for years.
Not humans, no. No living man has crossed the door staying this 100 year. But there be others. Ogres. You can hear the rattle of their going and coming every night through the wall.
Have you ever heard these ghosts, or bogles, as you call them?
No, I certainly have not. I will not stay after sundown. But the bogles, there's no the worst of it.
Really?
Aye. At times you can hear the sound of doodling.
Sound of bagpipes, eh?
Aye. And that's when they be entertaining old Horny himself.
The devil himself?
Aye.
The ghosts next door move in very high society, eh, Watson?
What was that?
Just the wind in the chimney.
You could have swore with the devil's stool sucker.
No, I don't think so.
I'll not be waiting to find out. When the skirling begins, this is the hoose at Selders like it was singing a dirge. Good night, gentlemen, and God help you.
She was frightened, all right. I wish that chimney would stop moaning.
Those two legends, the house next door and the haunted bagpipes, they're famous Edinburgh superstitions. I'd like to hear more about them.
Well, I've heard more than I want to already. Confound that chimney.
That building next door is one of the so-called fatal houses.
Fatal houses?
Houses marked generations ago by the Great Plague. Discipline in the time of pestilence was sharp and sudden. The houses having the disease were marked by a large cross. No one dared enter or leave. Furniture was destroyed and houses sealed up. In those houses, of which one or two still remain, the plague is supposed to lie ambushed like a basilisk, ready to escape and spread sickness and death through the city once the doors are open.
Oh, but that's ridiculous, Holmes, ridiculous. Germs can't sustain themselves like that. At least we've no medical evidence that they can. Wish we'd gone to an hotel.
The other legend is not quite so gruesome.
Oh, I'm delighted to hear it.
It's about a secret passage that is supposed to have existed in the time of Mary, Queen of Scots, between Edinburgh Castle and Holyrood Palace, which lies at the other end of town. About a century and a half ago, a piper made a bet that he could walk the length of it. He started at the castle, piping merrily. The crowds were able to follow him through the streets above by the sound of the skirling. Everything was going smoothly. They followed the sound down from the castle along the top of the hill. Just about here, the piping stopped suddenly in the middle of a note. And that was the last that was ever heard of the piper.
Noxious gas, most probably.
Some say the devil was so captivated by his playing that he carried him off to hell.
Well, what of it? As long as he stays there and doesn't go about waking up the neighbors?
But that's just what he has been doing for the last month or so.
Oh, nonsense. It's just a noisy chimney like this one. Why should a ghost who's kept quiet for over 100 years suddenly decide to return and annoy people?
That, my dear Watson, is what I'm anxious to find out.
Holmes. Holmes, you hear that?
By Jove. Then it's more than just a superstition.
Holmes, it's a piper. The devil's bagpiper. He's playing in the house next door.
Splendid.
Well, what are we going to do? Want me to inform the authorities?
And have them put the devil in jail? No, Watson, I have a better plan. I suggest we go over and call on the old gentleman himself.
In just a moment, we'll find out what Sherlock Holmes discovers in the mysterious house next door. Men, if you're wise, you'll start right away and take better care of the hair you've got. Remember, handsome, healthy-looking hair needs a hygienic scalp. So why be content with just any hairdressing when you can enjoy the extra advantages of Kreml Hair Tonic? This highly specialized hair tonic goes in for modern, natural-looking hair grooming. It keeps hair perfectly groomed all day long, looking so neat and attractive, yet never gives hair that cheap, greasy, patent leather look. But Kreml does lots more than keep hair looking handsome. Kreml is simply great to lubricate a dry scalp. And at the same time, it removes dandruff flakes and leaves the scalp feeling so alive and tingling. And if your hair breaks off and falls when you comb it because it's so dry, use Kreml. which actually helps condition hair in that it leaves it feeling so much softer and more pliable. And since Kreml is never sticky or gummy, and because it's such a nice, clean product, you can use it every day and your hair will always look its very best. Buy a bottle of Kreml at any drug counter. Ask for an application at your barber shop. Kreml, Kreml Hair Tonic. Now, Dr. Watson, what about the ghostly bagpiper? Did Holmes ever really...
No, not so fast, Mr. Bell. Holmes insisted that we investigate the house next door at once. And I must admit that it was with some misgivings I followed him into the street.
Come along, Watson. Oh, another little bit of local superstition I forgot to mention. They say that the corpses of people who died here of the plague sometimes come to life and wander about the house.
Holmes, we shouldn't talk like that. Oh, this sleet's cutting into my face like a knife.
Here's the doorway. I'll find out if the key still works.
Yes, it looks more like a crowbar than a key.
I only hope the lock isn't too rusty. Won't budge.
Thank heaven. Let's go back.
Oh, give me that oil can. Perhaps a few drops of oil.
There you are.
Confound this lock. No good trying to break the door in. It's as solid as Gibraltar.
A good deal more solid than the house itself, judging by that long crack over the archway up there.
Yes, that is a crack. The building is settling, Watson. That crack... Hello, I've turned the key. Lock's decided to work. The door sticks now. Hinges rusty. Come on, Watson, get your back into it.
It's moving, Holmes.
Yes, so is that crack. Hurry, help me close the door before the archway falls on us.
Isn't it quiet? Can't even hear the wind. Smells like a tomb.
Yes, but there's something else. Something unhealthy. Like a disease I smelt once in the tropics.
Holmes, you don't think it's true that the plague is still...
Nonsense. You yourself said it wasn't possible. Better light that dark lantern we brought along.
Yes, indeed. I hate bumping about in the dark. I can't say that it's much more cheerful in the light. Look at those great dirty cobwebs. That old tapestry hanging in shreds.
Yes, nothing has been moved since the plague first touched the house. Look there in that room. That old oak table set for a meal. One of the goblets overturned.
It gives me the creeps up and down my spine.
Nothing else of interest here. Let's get on to the next room.
How hollow our footsteps sound.
Yes. This must have been the living room of the house. Ashes of a bygone fire still on the hearth.
Holmes. Look. There's some people seated in those chairs over there.
Nonsense. Give me the lantern. By Jove, I think you're right. That smells stronger in here. We'll soon find out. Watson, hold the lantern.
Holmes. It's a body. A naked body.
A corpse, Watson. A cadaver.
Holmes, don't touch it. For the love of heaven, don't touch it.
Why, Watson?
Can't you see? The swollen eyes, the froth at the mouth, the flesh turned black. I've never seen it before, but those are the symptoms, Holmes. That's the Black Plague.
What? That's not possible. That's crazy. Here, look. Let me look at the other chairs. Yes, here an old man and here a woman.
All victims of the Black Death. Holmes, these are the bodies of people who died in this house centuries ago of the plague. But they're not decayed. It's not possible. We must be going mad.
Tell me quick, Watson. Did women do their hair with fringes at the time of the last plague?
Fringes? Now I know that we're crazy.
Quiet, Watson. Do you hear that?
It's the devil coming with his piper. He's going to make him dance.
The old woman was right. The house does vibrate to the sound of those pipes.
He's coming, Holmes. He's coming.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Dear me, if it isn't our friend Professor Moriarty. I had no idea you were a musician.
You admire my piping, eh? Yes, I wondered how long it would take you to find me. Allow me to congratulate you, Mr. Holmes. You're very prompt.
Most flattering, Professor. But I assure you it was simplicity itself. You didn't think I'd overlook anything as obvious as a sealed house and the haunted bagpiper who so conveniently came back to life in the past month?
Yes, I might have known my little ruse to get rid of my superstitious neighbors wouldn't keep Sherlock Holmes away. Perhaps it's just as well. You've been getting in my way quite a bit lately, Mr. Holmes. I shall have to continue my experiments begun on these three poor devils. On yourself, and Dr. Watson.
You mean the plague? You're going to give us the Black Plague?
I really must try my serum on 2 healthy specimens before I pronounce it perfect. After all, these 3, an old beggar, a thief dying of starvation, and a woman of ill repute, they could hardly be expected to resist the disease.
That's very interesting. I was just assuring Dr. Watson that these corpses were quite recent because I was sure that women didn't wear fringes during the last pestilence.
And Dr. Watson was afraid they might be victims of the original plague. But in a sense, he's right. The victims are recent, but they were killed by the germs of the original Black Death. Most amusing, isn't it?
Fascinating. Tell me, how did you discover those germs?
They were in this house. I found a nice little culture of them in a glass of calf's foot jelly, which was on the table in the front room. How they ever survived as long as this, I can't imagine. But here, gentlemen, come into my laboratory. I want to show you what I've done with them.
Holmes, what shall we do? Black Plague. It's a terrible thing. The man's mad.
Humane, Watson, humane.
Oh, yes, shall I?
Here we are, gentlemen. Quite a nice modern little outlay for such an ancient house.
Yes, it is an ancient house, Professor.
But here, this little test tube, it contains enough of the Black Plague to wipe out the entire city of Edinburgh.
Yes, I rather thought that was your purpose. You've never forgotten how they drove you out at the time of the Burke and Hare scandal.
You know about that?
Quite. Your name wasn't Moriarty then, huh?
What of it?
You were Dr. Knox's young assistant at the time. Together, you were carrying on some exciting experiments.
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Experiments that might have saved the world a great deal of suffering.
But you were short of cadavers. It wasn't you, by any chance, who suggested to Burke and Hare, those 2 body snatchers, that a body did not have to be legally dead to be acceptable?
Well, what if I did? They only killed the refuse of the city. Beggars, scum.
Quite. But they met the hangman nonetheless.
Aye, the fools. What price the death of a few when we might have discovered a cure that would have saved all humanity? Humanity. Bah, I hate it. Ever since then, I'd sworn I'd get revenge on humanity, and the law-abiding citizens of Edinburgh in particular. And now, the time has come. Tomorrow, the contents of this test tube will spread destruction throughout the city. But in the meantime, you, Mr. Holmes, and you, Dr. Watson, you know too much. You shall be the first of the law-abiding citizens to feel the prick of my little needle. Just a moment till I prepare my instruments.
Stop him, Holmes. Stop him.
Do not move. Gentlemen, 1 drop out of this test tube, even in its present state, is enough to cause death.
I quite agree. By the way, Professor Moriarty, while you are preparing your solution, you have no objections if I play a tune on your bagpipes? I used to be rather good at them in my younger days.
Not at all, if it'll amuse you.
Quite. Watson, stand here beside me against this wall.
No, quite.
Don't argue.
Holmes, the house. It's vibrating. I can feel the wall quiver. That's the note that does it.
Hold on there. You're shaking the house.
The foundations. I can hear them cracking.
Look out, man. You'll bring the house down.
That's what we intend to do.
The walls. I've got to get out of here.
We can't. The front door's blocked.
The secret passage in the basement. If I can reach it in time.
Holmes, he's dropped the test tube. It's spreading across the floor.
Watson, step back into the fireplace. Hurry.
So, Mr. Bell, Holmes played that note on the bagpipes until the house crashed in upon itself.
But, Dr. Watson, weren't you killed?
Not quite, Mr. Bell. No. Holmes had deduced from that crack above the front door that the house was weak, and he also guessed which way it'd fall if it did cave in. The wall that we were standing against and the fireplace alone were left standing. If you've seen any ruined castles, Mr. Bell, you'll notice how frequently that seems to happen.
And Professor Moriarty, did he escape?
Unfortunately, he did, Mr. Bell, through the secret passage in the basement which he had mentioned.
But the Black Plague and those corpses, what did you do about that?
We left them where they were. No use informing the authorities. They wouldn't have believed us, and besides, it would have been too dangerous to go poking about in the ruins. No, Holmes simply poured the spirits from our lantern on the old rafters and started a fire. The wood was as dry as tinder, and there was quite a blaze. And fire, Mr. Bell, is a great purifier.
And so you prevented an outbreak of the Black Death. That's a gruesome story. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Watson will return in just a moment to tell us something about the thrilling Sherlock Holmes mystery he has for us next Monday night. Ladies, those beautiful Powers models whose photographs you see in magazines always have to keep their hair shining bright with dazzling highlights. Now, here's how they do it.
Powers models were among the very first to discover how Kreml shampoo brings out all the natural sparkling luster of each tiny strand of hair. How it keeps hair simply radiant for days.
Yes, and those lovely Powers models told me that no other shampoo gives their hair more natural, glossy luster. It never dries the hair or makes it brittle.
Well, that's because Kreml shampoo has such a beneficial oil base. It actually helps hair, and it keeps the hair from becoming dry.
Then, ladies, why not take a tip from beauty-wise Powers models? See how easy it is to glamour bathe your hair to a vision of tantalizing beauty. Buy a bottle of Kreml shampoo at any drug counter. Kreml, Kreml shampoo. Now, Dr. Watson, what about next week?
Well, now, let me see. I wonder. Next week, I think I'll tell you the story of an experience that Sherlock Holmes and I had with something I was convinced was an invention of the devil. I call it the adventure of the horseless carriage.
Horseless carriage? You mean one of the early automobiles?
One of the very earliest, Mr. Bell. Holmes was called in to protect the inventor and, in the end, had to solve the mystery of his murder.
Tonight's Sherlock Holmes adventure was suggested by an incident in Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's story, The Final Problem. Nigel Bruce appeared by permission of California Pictures. Tom Conway through the courtesy of Eagle Lion Pictures. The Sherlock Holmes series is produced by Tom McKnight, with original music composed and conducted by Alex Steinert. This is Joseph Bell, speaking for Kreml Hair Tonic and Kreml Shampoo, inviting you to be with us next week at this same time, when Dr. Watson will tell us about the adventure of the horseless carriage. ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.
Crime does not pay.
Nice going, Annie. Very nice. You're terrific.
It's easy with a rifle, Frank. Here, watch. Anyhow, tin cans on a fence don't move.
Moving targets, huh, Annie?
Yeah.
All right, now look what I rigged up yesterday.
What?
You see, here, look. You pull the rope here.
Yeah.
And way off there, a can swings like a pendulum.
Hey, that's better. Okay, let's see. There's nothing to it.
You folks must have named you for Annie Oakley.
Like I said, Frankie, with a rifle, it's a cinch. Watch me with a pistol now. Okay, start the can swinging.
Yeah, check.
Here I go. 1 and 2 and... How am I doing, boy?
Oh, baby, you are a genius with a gun. Another couple of weeks and we'll be going places.
Weeks? What's the matter with right now? If I can hit tin cans at this distance, a guard at a bank ought to be easy as the side of a barn.
In the interest of good citizenship and law enforcement, we present Crime Does Not Pay, based on the famous Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer series of short subjects. In just a moment, you will hear Two Gun Annie, starring Joan Loring. Crime Does Not Pay, starring Joan Loring as Anne Armistead in Two Gun Annie. It was strange somehow, at least to those who knew her. Anne was a small girl, light brown hair, nice features, a pretty girl. More, Anne had every advantage of a decent upbringing and a nice home. Her father, Martin Armistead, widowed when Anne was quite young, was a school teacher. Respectability was the keynote of his life and of Anne's. All of which made it seem hardly within the realm of possibility that her father should have trouble with Anne. Still, the trouble came to the point where the father faced his daughter in the living room and spoke to her in no uncertain terms.
It's beyond my comprehension, Anne. I know what you've been up to, but I can't believe it.
What do you know I've been up to, Dad?
You were involved with the hot rods on the road Saturday night. You were at the roadside restaurant until after 2 in the morning.
So what? What if I was? And how do you know this anyway? Did you see me?
One question at a time, Anne. I know because Joe Barlow saw you from his prowl car and came to me about it.
Joe Barlow should mind his own business.
It is his business, Anne. He's a policeman. I never thought you would be a policeman's business, Anne.
So we were speeding. We weren't risking anybody's neck but our own. There wasn't another car on the road.
Stop it, Anne. You're a senior at high school. You know better. Even if you haven't any sense of responsibility, you ought to know
I don't
better
want any sense of responsibility. I want to have some fun.
Do you call it having fun when you put me to shame before the whole town?
Let the town mind its own business.
Perhaps when a teacher can't control his own child, it is the town's business. It may follow from that he can't control other people's children, even in the classroom.
Oh, cut it out, Dad. You can't get around me that way, and you know it.
What do I have to do with you, Anne? Lock you in your room?
Try it and see what happens. I'll be 18 in a month. You'll lose me as an income tax deduction, man.
Anne, I order you to stop your present behavior.
Save it, Dad. You're just talking.
Oh, am I? Well, then you listen, young lady. I've done my best for you since your mother died. You've never wanted for anything. You've had plenty of freedom. Maybe I should have seen to it that you were taught more self-control. I don't know. But I'll tell you this.
Oh.
I know you're a leader among the crowd that drives these jalopies and raises General Ned around town. And if you don't quit them now, I'll turn you over to Joe Barlow myself the day you're 18.
All finished, Dad?
In more ways than one.
Okay. Then I'm going out. Got a date with Frankie.
I warn you,
Save
Anne.
it, Dad. You said your piece, now I'll say mine. Before I give you or anybody a chance to turn me in, I'll leave this one-horse town forever. Take it or leave it, Dad. I'm sick of it, Frankie. I just won't take any more. I won't.
Well, what do you think? You think I like this town? Or what I'm doing, Annie Pie? Jerking sodas for a bunch of kids in jeans? Great for excitement, I don't think.
What brought you here in the first place, then?
The railroad. This was as far from hometown as my dough would take me.
Well, you've been making money. Why do you stick?
On account of a little babe with light brown hair who was afraid of nothing. Not even of me.
Afraid of you, Frankie? You're the only man in town.
You can say that again.
Hey, how fast did we go last night?
Last night I went 65. Now, what'll you bet I can get her up to 70?
Go on, try it. You think she'll hold together?
I tightened the bailing wire this morning. Ready now? Hold on, baby. Here we go.
Wow. Please. Keep her going.
Down to the floor.
Frankie, this is great. It's the fastest you've ever gone.
Get your head out the window.
Oh, Frankie.
How about that, huh?
Oh, this is great.
Oh, shut the radiator. Couldn't take it.
But the meter went to 72. It
72,
was wonderful,
huh?
Frankie. Yeah, it was just wonderful. Boy, when we roll like that, it's out of this world.
Well, you sure like speed, don't you, Annie Pie?
I like anything that'll get me out of this dump and far, far away. Oh, Frankie, I'm so bored. I'm so darn bored. Except when we do things like that.
Now, honey, take it easy, huh? Now, just settle down for a minute, because I want to talk to you.
Now you sound like my father.
I don't feel like your father.
You don't act like him. Oh, Frankie.
Do you mean it, baby, about getting out of this town?
Like I never meant anything in my whole life. I want to get away. Get to a big city, maybe. Get my hands on some dough, real money.
How's your patience, Ann?
Patience? What for?
Bowie, we might have to take more of this before we could really get away.
Hey, you sound like you had a plan.
I have. Now listen, I could go back home.
Yeah.
Tell the family I came back because I'm married and broke. They'd give me the money to send for you. That'd be the first step.
Yeah?
After that, we could go on and we could plan. We could make real plans. You and me together, Annie Pie. We could go places.
All right, Frankie. I'll be 18 next month. I'll be on my own. Send for me then, Frankie. And I'll take the first train going your way.
Terrific.
I feel here. I'm here.
What about your old man?
Oh, I had it out with him. Told him I was going bye-bye. He didn't say much. Just looked sad around the edges. Hey, I'm free, Frankie. Where do we go from here?
Oh, we go to my folks' place. For a while, anyway. Hey. Here, put this on.
A wedding ring?
Yeah, check. I told him you're my wife. Next couple of days, if we have time, we can drive over to a justice and make it legal, huh?
Thanks.
Now, come on, Annie Pie. The jalopy's waiting. Time's a wasting. We got things to do, you and me.
Watch this, Frankie. See if I'm a good student when you're the teacher.
Uh-huh. Hey, nice going, Annie. Very nice. You're terrific.
It's easy with a rifle, Frank. Watch. Anyhow, tin cans on a fence don't move.
Moving targets, Annie. All right. Now, look what I rigged up yesterday.
Yeah?
You see here, look. You pull the rope here, see?
Yeah.
And way off there, see, a can swings like a pendulum.
Hey, that's better. Okay. Let's see. There's nothing to it.
Sister, your folks must have named you for Annie Oakley.
Like I said, Frankie, with a rifle, it's a cinch. Okay, watch me with a pistol now. Okay. Start the can swing.
Yeah. Check.
Here I go.
Huh?
1, 2, and... How am I doing,
Oh, you're
boy?
a genius with a gun, baby. Another couple of weeks and we'll be going places.
Weeks? Well, what's the matter with right now? If I can hit tin cans at this distance, a guard at a bank ought to be as easy as the sight of the barn.
Why, Ann, whatever. Where are you two going this time of morning?
We're going hunting, Mom. Deer season opens today.
Well, slacks are all right, Ann, but... Well, I must say you look like a boy with that baseball cap and all.
That's the idea, Mom.
Now, why would a young man want his wife to look like a boy?
Well, fellas might kid me too much. You know, who takes his wife along, honey?
You do, darling.
Don't I, though?
Both of you be careful. More people get killed in accidents. Here, Ann. Wear this.
Your red scarf? But, Ma, when's
Then nobody will mistake you for an animal. There. Red goes well with your coloring.
Let's go, Annie Pie.
No breakfast?
Oh, we'll be all right. We're going through town. Frank says the hunting is better over in that direction. Don't you, Frankie?
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, goodbye, Mom. Don't worry. We're going to be fine. All right, shut up, everybody. Shut up. Shut up now, do you hear me? First man opens his mouth gets it. You see my partner's guns? He's got an itchy finger. Now keep him covered, kid, while I get the cash.
You bet, fella. We said don't move. Shut up, lady. You're not hurt. Shut up, everybody.
All right, kid, I got all the cash. Let's go. Boy, there should be a run on this bank this afternoon.
They're starting.
Yeah.
Quick, before they turn on the alarm.
How much you think we got, Annie Fly?
We'll count it later. Good hunting, though. Hey, you think they knew it?
No, not at your tail. There goes the alarm.
Keep driving. I'll watch behind. Let me get rid of your Mars red scarf. They'll be describing it all over in half an hour.
But we'll be out of the state.
Hey, Frankie, police car taking off after us.
That was fast.
Slow down a minute. Slow down. Do as I say. They can catch us anyway. They got souped up motors. Good. Hold steady now. Don't spoil my aim.
And don't kill anybody.
Think I'm crazy? I just want to... Oh, I missed. Both hands. One more try. They're getting closer.
Shooting at us.
Well, did you think they wouldn't? Hold everything, Frankie. I can't miss it. Hey, I got him. Right front tire. Blew right off the rim. Speed up, Frankie. We're in the clear. Now they'll never catch us.
In just a moment, Crime Does Not Pay will continue with Two Gun Annie. Now we continue with Crime Does Not Pay, starring Joan Loring as Ann Armistead in Two Gun Annie. They made it that first time. They made it completely. The police car, its tires shot out by Ann's marksmanship, abandoned the chase. Ann and Frankie drove into the next state, to the outskirts of a big city. There, excited, tired, they left their jalopy well hidden in a small wood, but not before Ann had exchanged her boy's attire for a sweater and skirt. Then they walked into the heart of the city, found a furnished room, and settled down. A week passed. The excitement began to disappear. Another week, and another. By the end of the month, with pursuit apparently a thing of the past, Ann and Frank ventured into the streets in daylight as well as at night. Late one afternoon, in a quiet residential neighborhood.
Frankie?
Uh-huh.
How much do we have left? Of the money, I mean.
Enough.
Oh, now you bought me clothes. We've been to nightclubs. How much is left?
Well, you counted it with me. You know how much we had in the first place.
Oh, I see. We're almost broke, huh?
Yeah, check, Annie Fly.
We better start thinking about getting some more.
No, we'll need a car for that.
Well, that should be pretty easy. Only this time, no jalopy, a real car.
Why not a heap?
A real car doesn't sway. Not as much, anyway. I don't want to waste bullets like the last time.
Annie, you're terrific.
Thanks, Frankie.
Any special kind of car you're thinking of?
Yeah, a heavy one.
Heavy?
Yeah, see, like that sedan over there.
Yeah. Looks like there's plenty of speed under that hood, huh?
Yeah. I wonder... Come on, Frankie.
Now what?
Neighborhood like this, people have a tendency to get careless a little. Oh, they sure do. Look.
Yeah, I see the keys.
Hanging right in the lock on the dashboard. Oh, it's practically an invitation.
Isn't it, though?
Do we?
We do. It's a keen job, this one, huh?
You can say that again.
Where to, madame?
The house, Franklin.
The house?
There's certain equipment we don't want to leave behind, including the firearms and the young gentleman's outfit that fits me so well.
Gas, sir? How many gallons?
5 will do it, mister.
Will you turn out your ignition, please? Because...
Sorry, mister. As you can see, it's not your gas we're after.
Mister, tell the boy to put that gun away.
Why, when I told him to take it out in the first place? I do like the kid says, see?
Well, there's not much in the register. Please
Get
don't...
moving. If it's not in the register, it's someplace. Filling station figures this always has plenty of dough on Saturday.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. What may we do for you?
We want a room. What have you got?
Well, sir...
We've driven a long way today. Anything with a bath will do.
Sorry, ma'am. There's nothing left with bath.
Well, how much without?
There's nothing left without either, sir.
Did you hear that, dear?
I heard. Not very hospitable, is he?
No. Now, don't you think you could be more accommodating if you were in his place, dear?
Oh, I know I could.
Now, see here.
You see here.
A gun.
2 of them. And they talk loud if they have to.
You want to know what they say?
Yes, sir.
They say get into the office. My wife will mind the desk for you. Go on and get back into the office with me. Open the safe. We're a couple of guests. You're going to pay to get to leave. Lots of power under that hood. Oh, I'd love to let her out.
But you won't. Not past the limit yet. No traffic cops this trip.
Check. Annie Pie, did you ever see a scared rabbit like that hotel clerk?
What a waste of time. $500 in the safe, and look at the chances we took.
Well, chances are part of this business, Annie Pie. It's like the big businessmen say, the calculated risk.
Yeah, sure, but the profit's got to be worth the risk.
A meaning, baby?
That the First National Bank over in White Oak is just begging for a heist.
And we didn't do so good at the first job in a bank.
Because we were green. We didn't figure on the time lock on the vault. This time we're really planning it. This is going to be a real haul.
Not a soul around. Perfect.
8:40. He'll be along any minute.
Cashier?
Right. He opens up, locks the door behind him. A couple of minutes later, his assistant comes in. Same routine. Just like I told you yesterday. Time lock opens the vault at 8:55 sharp. We'll have 5 minutes to clean out the joint.
Watch it, Annie. Here he comes.
Check and double check. Mind if we come in with you, mister?
I'm sorry, the bank isn't open until 9.
Yeah, get in. Shut the door. Your regular routine. This ain't no cat pistol.
Mine neither.
Yes, of course.
All right, move fast now. Come on, open the cages.
But they are...
You know what I mean. Pull that switch. I want the alarm off before I clean out the teller's cages.
You know your business, don't you? There you are.
All right, now face to the wall. As soon as your partner comes in, here's what I want you to...
He's at the door.
Yeah. What a surprise he's in for.
Yeah.
Morning, Arthur. Oh.
You got early customers over against the wall. Go on, move.
Yes, of course.
All right, Frankie, clean out the cages.
It's an easy $15,000 here in cash, kid.
There'll be more in the vault.
The vault? You can't open it until 11 o'clock.
Save it, Smarty. We know the time lock goes off at 8:55, and you know the combination.
No, Arthur, you can't give it to them.
That'll take care of him for a while. We intend to have that vault open, Mr. Cashier.
And I have every intention of opening it. I don't especially care for a blow like that one. May I help him?
You may not.
He's bleeding badly. A gun barrel is a nasty weapon to hit a man.
Shut up or you'll get it, too.
Already on the vault, kid.
All right, you. Downstairs, the vault.
Certainly. This way.
An obliging punk, isn't he?
Oh, we don't mind. After all, we're insured, you know, and we're a national bank. We have plenty of resources. Only fools like my assistant would argue with loaded revolvers. Isn't that right?
Stop talking. Get the vault open. Open it, you hear, and shut up. Or we'll leave you inside it after we clean it out. Get moving now. Back! What are you doing?
I'm hungry, honey. Coffee and hamburger do good right now. How about you?
Well, I suppose. I'd feel better if we had a few more miles between us and White Oak before we stopped.
Well, they won't expect us to stop this close. You get it?
Uh-huh. Leave the haul in the car?
Well, why not? Now, who'd expect to find 15 G's in cash and 25 more in securities in a parked car? Some haul, huh, Annie Pie?
40,000, not bad.
Not bad at all.
Let's go.
Now, tell me, can you figure it, Annie Pie?
What?
With dough lying around like that loose in banks. People taking jobs in joints like this.
I wonder what they do for excitement.
A drive-in movie, I guess. Now hit yourself to a stool, Annie Pie.
Hey, that smells good.
Sure
Maybe
does.
I am hungry.
Morning, folks.
Hi, morning.
Frankly, afternoon, isn't it?
Not till afternoon. What'll it be?
A couple with and coffee.
Any wheat cakes? I'll find out. Here, let me give you the setup. How about some coffee right away?
Good idea.
You come far this morning?
Not too far.
Is that your car out there?
Yeah, smooth, ain't it? Huh?
Oh, sure is.
Why do you ask?
Well, youngsters like you usually have jalopies, not big sedans like that.
That was my father's. He got a new one. He gave me that one.
You're lucky. Wish I had a father like that. Excuse me, I'll ask the cook about the wheat cakes.
Coffee's good, isn't it, Frankie?
Sure is.
Hello? Is Sergeant Kowalski there? Margaret. No, I'm working this morning. Look, Dave, I think I got him here. The kid who struck up the bank in White Oak this morning. The FBI called before it gave a description. Told us to call you. Their car's a maroon sedan. Right year, right make. Only the young one's a girl. She must have been wearing slacks. Okay, I'll try to hold him. Only tell those G-men to hurry, will you? I think she's got a gun in her purse.
How long does it take to make fresh wheat cake batter?
Well, the cook's very fussy about it, and he was upset because the old stuff was sour.
Take a burger, Ann. Let's get going.
Yeah, tell him to kill the wheats and make me a burger.
Okay, if that's what you want.
Hey, what's up, sister?
All right, you kids, reach.
What, it's a stick-up?
FBI. That was a national bank in White Oak. We got your coal, kids, thanks to this lady here.
She kept us here. She phoned the cops and kept us
Don't
here.
touch that purse.
No, Annie, don't.
Nobody takes me, and not even my own father could do that.
I'm sorry. It's just your arm. We don't like to shoot kids, but your shooting days are over. You should have been quicker on the draw.
I didn't touch no gun. I didn't.
Frank, you louse, you rotten filthy.
All right, save it, both of you. That assistant cashier, you fractured his skull. He died an hour ago. You're both due for a murder rap. All right, let's get going. The only party who comes out of this ahead is that lady back at the counter. The insurance company posted a reward half an hour ago.
Crime does not pay. Joan Loring, who starred as Ann Armistead in Two Gun Annie, will be back with you in just a moment. Now here in person is Joan Loring.
To me, at least, the story of Ann Armistead and Frank Winfield is a revealing one. Both young people came from good homes. Anna especially seemed to have every opportunity to grow into a fine woman, a good citizen. Still, they went, in the old expression, they went wrong. Where and why? Examination of both their stories gives us one important clue. Both of them felt their lives were dull, but they needed excitement and a chance for adventure. This feeling is part and parcel of youth. But for Anne and Frank, there was no provision for working off that extra steam. There was no program, no plan. There was no guidance for them. The older generation failed them, as it's failing in so many communities across this nation with disastrous results. That's why, in the last analysis, Anne and Frank sought the release which leads only to the final lesson. That crime does not pay.
Thank you, Miss Loring. Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Mark B. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Gart. Technical advisor is Burton B. Turtis. The events, characters, and names used in the story you've just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental. This is Bob Williams speaking. The National Broadcasting Company presents Counterspy.
Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy. Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy.
Harding, Counterspy, calling Washington.
United States Counterspy, especially appointed to investigate and combat the enemies of our country, both at home and abroad.
These Counterspy reports to the American people are brought to you each week at this time. Now, the case of the stolen secret.
Dr. Hilton, I wish you'd let me go with you.
It's best that I go alone, Lucy. After you leave me off at the railroad station, I'd like you to go back home and wait until you hear from me.
Just as you say. But somehow I don't like the idea of you going to Washington by yourself.
I'll attract much less attention that way.
That formula in your briefcase is so important. You can never tell
Now,
what might...
come, Lucy. You're getting all upset over nothing at all.
You've worked 2 long years on it. I've watched you, Dr. Hilton. I know how much it's taken out of you.
It was worth every minute of it, my dear.
I know, but I can't help thinking of the desperate measures certain people might take to gain possession of it.
At the present moment, my dear Lucy, that would be a sheer waste of time. Only this week I discovered certain of my hypotheses were invalid. Fortunately, I know now the cause of my errors. Nevertheless, my formula will still be in the hands of the National Defense Coordinator in the morning.
Oh, you say it so lightly, as though your very life weren't in danger.
Lucy, I'm not the swaggering hero you'd like to think I am.
I think you're pretty wonderful, Doctor. Do you mind?
Not at all. I'm flattered.
You've been like a father to me.
Yes, unfortunately, I'm at the age where I best suit the fatherly role.
Is this close enough to the platform?
Fine, my dear, fine.
Dr. Hilton, I still can't help worrying. Won't you please let me go with you? I brought along my overnight bag. Please say yes.
Lucy, believe me, I assure you that nothing very much can happen to me or the formula.
But how can you be so sure?
Because until I make certain revisions in my figures, my formula will be of no consequence. Several hours' work in my train compartment at most. Until then, what I'm carrying in my briefcase is worthless.
Are you sure you're not telling me a story?
My word of honor. Now, do you feel better about it?
Much. But you will be careful anyway. Now, promise me.
I promise, my dear, not to run afoul of any cloak and dagger tactics between now and my arrival in Washington. Well, there's my train coming in. I'll be back in Centerdale Tuesday. Goodbye, Lucy.
Goodbye, Doctor.
And don't worry. Everything will be perfectly all right. Perfectly. Yes, who is it?
Conductor, sir.
No, just a moment.
One piece out of you, Hilton, and you're dead.
What?
Inside.
What's the meaning of this?
Dark to dark. You'll be good or a bullet goes through your head.
What do you want?
You know what I want. And it won't have to be a mess if you hand it over.
I don't know what you're talking about. If it's money you're after...
Yeah, it's money I'm after. Not the kind you'd be carrying. Maybe this has what I want.
Give me that briefcase.
Thanks for telling me it's in here.
Give me that.
I told you to sit down.
Please. You must
let go. Okay, you asked for it.
Agent Jennison, Centerdale Counterspy Field Office, to David Harding, Washington. Dr. Theodore Hilton found murdered aboard train en route Washington. Train being held at this stop for thorough investigation. Will stand by for any special orders from you.
This is urgent.
And here's Jennison's supplementary report, Peters. Came in over the Counterspy wire 3 minutes ago.
Dr. Theodore Hilton. I've heard that name, Mr. Harding.
Dr. Hilton was a research scientist.
Oh, yes. In the field of fuel refining, right?
Right. He just completed developing a new formula for processing a special fuel for jets. It was to have given us a sure edge on air power. Dr. Hilton was on his way to Washington here to explain the process to government technicians.
It isn't hard to fill in the rest, Chief. The formula's missing.
Yes. But we do know that it was being carried in a tan leather briefcase, locked. The case was missing from his train compartment.
Any other leads?
No. Still too early to determine what sort of instrument struck the blow that killed Dr. Hilton.
Did anyone see Hilton with another person on the train?
We don't know yet. All the passengers are being questioned.
The thing is to find out what happened to that briefcase.
Yes, and the espionage agent who took it. I've already sent out orders to put every available man on this case. All roads, train stations, bus depots, and airports in that area are now under our surveillance.
What do we do now, Dave?
Now, Peters, we're taking the jet to Meadville to supervise operations.
Okay, coming up, a ham on rye. 2 coffees. Yeah, coming up. I got 'em. Coffee coming up. Sugar's out.
Pack of cigarettes?
Aye? Yeah, what kind?
What do I care? Any kind.
Okay, here you are. I guess it's the matches.
Keep. Good night.
Hey, wait a minute.
Operator.
Quick, operator, get me the Counterspy field office here in town.
Right away, sir.
Centerdale, Counterspy Field Office, Agent Jennison.
Yeah, hello. This is Cy Smith, Smitty's Diner on Elm Street.
Yes?
Look, a guy just walked out of here carrying a briefcase that looked like the one I heard about on the radio, the one that Dr. Hilton had when he was killed.
He just walked out?
Yeah.
Did you watch where he went?
Yeah, he hopped into a car out front. It looked to me like it was a Chevy.
Could you describe what he looked like?
Sure. He left a half a buck for a pack of smokes. Who'd forget a guy like that?
Go ahead, Jennison.
Continuing report on the diner operator. He's given us a pretty clear picture of the man with the briefcase, but he was unable to make identification from our local photo file.
All right, Jennison, contact our statistical department in Washington. Tell them to have everything prepared for an identification search. Then have that diner operator flown to Washington as soon as possible. You got that?
Yes, Mr. Harding. I'll get right on it.
Where were you, Karok? I've been trying to get you on the phone for a couple of hours.
Steve, I do not sit in this hole in the wall developing pictures every minute of my life. I go out to eat sometimes. Not often, but every once in a while.
Yeah, you take 3 hours to eat, and me, I walk around with those hot papers on me, right out in the open.
I'm not interested in your tale of woe. Gorok has his own. I stand in a dark room till the sight of the sunlight blinds me. I am not better than a donkey used in the mine.
Yeah, you and your talk.
At least I do my job well. There was nothing about killing Dr. Hilton in the instructions given to you by Mr. Sibley.
Well, I couldn't help it. The old guy got too rough for his own good.
Mr. Sibley will not be happy about that.
Well, who's asking you what Mr. Sibley will be happy about? Here's the stuff. Put it on microfilm and shut your mouth.
The likes of you, Gorok does not take orders from. Garok is an art.
Garok is nothing but a big mouth. Now, come on, take the papers and do what you're supposed to do.
I am to do nothing until Mr. Sibley arrives. Garok is wise enough to follow instructions.
You sure put on a big front, don't you, Garok? I do the dirty work.
Very dirty work.
I'm telling you, Garok, I'm not taking much more of you.
You cannot frighten me, Steve. Garok has brains.
Yeah, well,
and Garok also has a gun in his pocket. Ah, Mr. Sibley. Good evening, Mr. Sibley.
I see we're all assembled. Good.
He just got here.
Yes. Steve. Hello, Mr. Sibley. It would be more appropriate to make that goodbye, my friend.
What?
You needn't become alarmed. As yet, I haven't decided under what circumstances we shall part. I'm convinced only of the necessity of ending our relationship.
Now, look, Mr. Sibley, I got what you were after.
Control yourself.
Yes, Steve, do. There's no need for becoming upset.
A drink, Mr. Sibley?
Not at the moment, Garok, thank you.
Here's the papers, Mr. Sibley. Maybe we don't click too good together, but anyway, here's what you were after. So if it's okay with you, I'll take my payoff now and beat it.
To simple minds, everything seems so uncomplicated.
Sit down, Steve. I have some things to say to you before you leave.
Outstand.
As you wish. Briefly, my friend, you've gone about your assignment in a fashion so slovenly that I find it absolutely incredible.
You mean about what happened to Dr. Hilton?
What else could I possibly mean?
Well, I couldn't help that. It was an accident. I didn't think that slug on the head would kill him. Honest, just an accident.
That's unimportant now. The man is dead, and the formula is of almost no use to us because of that fact. Without Dr. Hilton, it'll take much too long to make practical application of those papers you think so valuable.
That is why Garok did not put them on microfilm.
So the operation itself is a failure. But added to that, you've allowed yourself to become identified.
What do you mean? Nobody saw me.
No? The description of your unhappy countenance has been advertised on every radio station in the country.
But I'm telling
Why
you...
didn't you get rid of that briefcase, you imbecile?
I did get rid of it. I threw it in an empty lot.
But not until after you were seen with it.
Well, I couldn't help it. It had a lock on it. I had to break the lock, didn't I?
Quiet. The point is you're very dangerous to us at the moment, to our entire network. And most important of all, to my superior.
Why, I thought you were running the operation.
Garok.
Yes, Mr. Sibley.
I shall leave the matter of Steve's disposition up to you.
And I, Mr. Sibley, will leave it up to this gun.
Hey, wait.
For Garok, this will be an exquisite pleasure.
I shall wait here until you return. Where is the liquor?
In the chest over there. I have some very fine brandy.
Now, Mr. Sibley, give me a break.
I do enjoy fine brandy so much. Goodbye, Steve.
Yes?
Miss Lucy Braden?
Yes?
I'm David Harding, Miss Braden. This is my assistant, Mr. Peters. We drove over from Meadville to speak with you.
Oh, please come in, gentlemen.
Thank you.
This way, we can talk in the living room.
All right. You've been with Dr. Hilton for a number of years, we understand.
Yes, Mr. Peters, I was his ward. After I became of age, I stayed on with him, you might say, as a secretary. Won't you sit down?
Thank you. Now, we'll try not to take up too much of your time, Miss Braden. We realize how you must feel.
Yes?
Just a few questions, and then we'll leave.
I'll tell you anything I can, Mr. Harding.
The doctor's laboratory is on the premises here, is it?
Yes, at the rear of the house.
Oh.
And his bedroom was right next to it. My room is upstairs.
Does anyone else live in this house, Miss Braden?
Well, we have a housekeeper, but she doesn't sleep in.
Then there was only you and Dr. Hilton.
There used to be my brother Charles. He was the newspaper correspondent who disappeared in Eastern Europe 2 years ago.
Yes, Miss Braden. As we know about your brother, his case is still an open matter in our files.
First Charles, and now Dr. Hilton.
We may yet locate your brother, Miss Brady.
Oh, I've given up hope. Dr. Hilton and I both knew why Charles disappeared. Because the country in which he was working didn't like the truth. And Charles told the truth in his distress.
We'll be just a moment more.
It is quite all right. I don't mind if I can be of any help.
Well, who knew about Dr. Hilton's plan to go to Washington?
I did.
Besides yourself? The housekeeper, perhaps?
Oh, I don't believe so, Mr. Harding. Dr. Hilton cautioned me to mention it to no one.
I see. Well, that's about all, Miss Braden.
If there's anything else I can do...
No, not at the moment. But if you do think of anything that might help us, you can reach me at the Counterspy field office in Meadville. Call me anytime, day or night.
Do you think you'll be able to find the man?
I don't know, Miss Braden, but we're certainly going to try very hard. Very hard.
Well, Garok, you're back sooner than I...
Sibley.
Garok, what happened? Your head is bleeding.
That animal, Steve.
Come on, man. Speak. What happened?
He lunged at me before I could fire.
What?
He was desperate. You know how a man who is going to die sometimes becomes...
You let him get away.
I tried to stop him. I held on to him. Grok, a small man. He is such a large animal. He kicked me. Oh, my head.
He got away.
He kicked Grok. Kicked me in my head.
Now the Counterspies will have him in no time.
Help me, Mr. Sibley. Oh, the pain in my head. Help me.
5 minutes after they have him, he'll have told them everything. Oh, Garok, you fool. It was going to be an exquisite pleasure for you.
Grok had the brains, but he had the instinct and speed of an animal.
You bungled, ruined everything.
Oh, my head. Oh, Mr. Sibley, do something for Grok. Do something to stop the pain in his head. Oh.
All right, Grok. I'll help stop the pain in your head.
Oh, you're a merciful man, Mr. Sibley.
I'll stop the pain in you forever.
You are listening to the case of the stolen secret on Counterspy. That new private detective, Charlie Wilde, solves another mystery in just a short while over most of these NBC stations. And later today, there's another broadcast of your Sunday evening extravaganza, The Big Show. Your stars tonight will be Groucho Marx, Ezio Pinza, Jane Powell, Fanny Bryce, Frankie Lane, Mindy Carson, Frank Lovejoy, Meredith Wilson, and many, many more. Supervising the hour-and-a-half Big Show will be MC Tallulah Bankhead. And incidentally, when unpredictable Tallulah meets unconventional Groucho, look out. It's The Big Show every Sunday on NBC. Now, back to Counterspy. That's the information, Carter. Radio to all patrols. Have them notify me here at the Meadville field office.
So his name is Steve Meeker, eh, Mr. Harding?
Meeker. He's got a record a half-mile long. If he's still in the area of our operation, he's a gone duck.
That idea of yours sending the diner owner down to Washington for identification paid off.
Well, we can't be too sure yet, Peters, but it certainly saved us some time. Wait a minute. Harding speaking.
I want to talk to you, Harding.
Who's this?
Steve Meeker.
You're Steve Meeker, you say?
That's right.
Meeker, Dave? Get on the extension.
I give up.
I'm listening.
I heard my name on the radio just now. I'm cut off, I know it. I can't move 2 feet without there's a cop right there.
All right, Meeker, if you're ready to give up, all you have to do is walk into the field office here. I'll call my men off.
Oh, it ain't your men. There's someone else in Meadville I'm worried about.
Who?
You gonna come for me?
Where are you?
Over in Centerdale.
Who's after you, Meeker?
Nothing doing. I don't spill that until I know it's gonna do me some good.
All right. Where exactly are you? Now listen to me. Get out of that store. The one you're worried about may be there instead of Meadville. Go to the address I'm going to give you and tell whoever's there that I sent you, and I'll be along to pick you up. You'll be safe there.
Okay.
14 Crown Street. Got that?
Yeah, 14 Crown.
Wait there for me. I'm starting for Centerdale now.
Yes?
This is 14 Crown, ain't it?
Yes, it is.
Well, then I got the right place.
Whom do you wish to see?
I don't know the name.
Oh, I'm sure you must have the wrong information.
Oh, no. This is where David Harding sent me.
Mr. Harding?
Yeah, he said I should wait here for him. He said if I gave you his name, you'd let me in.
Then come in. You can wait for Mr. Harding in the living room. I'm Lucy Braden, Mr.
My name doesn't count.
Did Mr. Harding say what time he'd be here?
As soon as he can get over from Meadville.
Sit down if you like.
Thanks. Mind if I smoke?
Not at all. Can I get you something?
Well, what have you got? Maybe rye?
I'm sorry, we have no whiskey in the house.
Beer?
No beer either. But I have some soft drinks in the refrigerator.
Soda pop, eh?
Yes. Would you care for some?
Well, okay. I wouldn't mind.
I'll be right back.
Hey.
Yes?
Cut matches, I'm all out.
You'll find a lighter on the table.
Thanks. They never work, these lighters. Never the first time.
We only have root beer.
Well, root beer's okay. In fact, it's perfect.
I took the liberty of pouring you a glass.
Mm-hmm. You can take any liberty you like with me, Annie. Any time.
There's more if you want it.
Nice and cold. I like drinks that are nice and cold.
Would you please...
Would I what?
Nothing. Are you sure Mr. Harding sent you here?
Mm-hmm. He sent me. He sure set up something nice and neat for me.
What do you mean?
Look, honey, I'm no friend of Harding.
Then what is
I'm on the lam. Wait.
Let me go, please.
Came to me just now, like that.
Please, let me go. You're hurting me.
I was going to do a dumb thing, but now I got a better idea. Yeah, great. What a setup.
Please let me go, please.
You're leaving this place now with me.
What?
That's right. You're getting me out of this jam, baby. You're my rain check. No cop in the world would take a pot shot while I got you right next to me. And Harding set up the whole thing himself. We'll write him a letter of thanks when we get out of the cut.
You're crazy.
Sure, like a fox.
You can't get away. If you're wanted, they'll get you sooner or later.
With you along, honey, nothing can...
Oh. Nothing?
Huh?
Nothing, Steve.
Sylvia.
I'm taking up where Garok left off. Garok was right. You are an animal. A man dies much faster.
And that, Lucy, makes the final bridge we've burned behind us.
You waited long enough to fire, Stiglitz.
Sorry, my dear. It all rather amused me.
Don't be insolent.
Forgive me. Well, we owe a great deal of our good fortune to Harding, eh, Lucy?
Yes, but you'd better not be here to thank him.
Listen. That must be Harding now. It's too late for me to get out.
Get in the back of the house. Hide in the kitchen closet.
They must have heard the shots. What are you going to tell Harding?
Leave that to me. Give me your gun.
Yeah?
Now hurry. Do what I told you.
All right.
Oh, Mr. Harding. The most
What's happened, Miss Braden? Where's the man I sent?
Come in, please. Did you hear the shot?
Shots? What shots are you talking about?
There's the man you sent. Over there near the table.
What happened?
He tried to make me go with him. He said he was going to use me as a shield. I broke away from him, and there was a gun in the desk. I tried to hold him at bay.
Now, take it easy, Miss Braden. You don't have to be too upset. He was a vicious killer. He murdered Dr. Hilton.
He was the one?
Yes.
Oh, Mr. Harding, how could you send that man here to this house of all places?
I'll let you think about my reason for that, Miss Braden, when you're in a cell in a good, strong jail.
What?
Until you come to trial for murder and espionage.
What are you talking about?
As the head of a spy ring, Miss Braden, you should know exactly what I'm talking about.
You don't know what you're saying.
Now, if you'll just come along, we can talk it all over down at the field.
Stand right where you are, or I fire this gun.
Oh, I do know what I'm talking about.
Unfortunately for you, you do.
I'm interested in one thing especially. How can your sentiments be what they are in the face of what happened to your brother?
Very simple. My brother is alive and well. He went to the place where he is now of his own free will. We both have the same political sentiments. Charles is waiting for me to join him.
You'll never make it now. I never shot a woman, but I'd be glad to make you an exception unless you drop that gun. All right, come on, you. You're joining the party.
All right.
Would you consider resisting arrest? No, what a shame.
Where'd you find him, Peter?
Lined up with a couple of dirty brooms in the kitchen closet.
Lucy, what are we going to do now?
Plead guilty as charged.
First, Mr. Harding, you'll have to prove those charges.
That won't be hard. This evening, my agent came across a dead man named Garok. Of course, Garok didn't talk, but the data we found in his photo lab did.
I'll take these two along, Chief.
Wait, just a moment, Peters. I have something that may interest Miss Braden.
I doubt it.
Usually, Miss Braden, the counterspies operate on a highly scientific basis, but every once in a while we have to resort to our knowledge of criminal behavior to get results. You were much too innocent of too many things. You went out of your way to point out that you were the only one who knew Dr. Hilton was going to Washington, a fact you made no bones about, obviously to establish how innocent you were. It was your behavior that got results in this case.
Oh, no. It was the stupidity of my associates.
Oh, no. The stupidity was essentially yours to think you could get away with treason. All right, now, Peters, you take them away.
Tune in every week, same time, same station, to Counterspy. Listen next week for the exciting Case of the Pseudo-Spuds.
When an agricultural magician sowed tons of potatoes, he hoped to reap $500,000 in cash. Instead, he reaped a harvest of sawdust that blew up in his face and launched your counterspies on a search for clues that covered thousands of miles. The full details will be revealed next week in Case of the Pseudo-Spuds on Counterspy. Tonight's Counterspy program originated in New York, was directed by Mark B. Loeb, and featured Don McLaughlin and Mandel Kramer. Counterspy is produced by Philip H. Lord. Now, Charlie Wilde, and in a half hour, hear The Big Show on NBC.